He's a 6'7" forward with Moncton University, wearing 0, Terrell Bay. He's a 6'1" guard from San Houston State, number 3, Corey Allman.
Apparently there's no sound on the YouTube.
He's a 6'7" forward from Moncton University, number 5, Denzel Taylor. He's a 5'9" guard from St. Mary's University, number 8, Marquise Clayton. He's a 6'6" forward from Union University, number 24, Ashanti Day. He's a 6'8" center from Western Missouri, number 33, Kevin Farrell Thomas. He's a 6'9" center from Farmingdale State, number 41, Anthony Cox. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for tonight's starting lineup. He's a 5'10" point guard from Drake University, number 10, Al Stewart.
Our announcer does. We'll get him in a second.
He's a 6'4" forward from University of Ottawa, number 13, Terry Thomas. He's a 6'8" forward from University of Texas El Paso, number 21, Jeremy Williams.
That's great.
He's a 6'9" center
Monday day out in service.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the head coach of the Moncton Magic, Mr.
Good evening and welcome inside the Moncton Coliseum. I am Scott Squires, joined alongside by my broadcast partner David Tingley. And the pre-game festivities have just about come to a close, and what an exciting evening here in Moncton at the Coliseum. This Moncton Magic franchise, they have been waiting a long time to hit the floor and to actually take all of those hours of practice and everything that's been talked about and put it to work. And they are taking on a road-weary team for the most part, the St. John's Edge. St. John's, they are 2-1 on the season. They've had a very good start to the season, but it's been all on the road. This is the fourth time in about a week that they've had to sit through a pregame ceremony and a home opener, David, and that's got to play a little bit on the St. John's team, regardless of how professional they are.
Yeah, you take a flight over from Newfoundland, you take 5 days of traveling and hotels and a game last night in Cape Breton and a 5-hour bus ride, and you add on a couple of injury issues, and you add on waiting through this pregame, and this is a long wait for these guys to get going, and they are, I mean, look, they can't help but be a little spent. We're getting some dap over here, too.
Getting some love from the Magic as they go by our broadcast position here. We are right on the floor at center court. An exciting time. The two coaches, Jeff Dunlap from the St. John's Edge and Joe Salerno from the Moncton Magic, shaking hands, and we are about set to go. Starting for St. John's, Alex Johnson, Desmond Lee, Jarian Henry, Rashawn Broadus, and Charles Hinkle. And your starting five for the Moncton Magic, Al Stewart, AA, Anthony Anderson, Terry Thomas, Jeremy Williams, and Tim Mitchell. And we are just about set to go. The Moncton Magic wearing white with the black trim. They'll be going left to right on your screen. And the St. John's Edge, the team out of the Rock, the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, wearing the dark blue with white and yellow trim. And we are just about set to go. All the talk done. And let's tip it off, and we are underway. Magic controlling the tip, and it goes into one of the veterans on this team, former 3-time NBL Defensive Player of the Year, Al Stewart. Stewart knows this coach very well, Joe Salerno. Played for him the last couple of years over in PEI, and he joins him here in Moncton.
Yeah, it's his 7th year with Joe, and Joe looks to him to be a leader on the floor and off for the guys, and he's initiating the offense for the Magic at one end.
First shot from the outside, no good. And back the other way come the Edge. Smoke from the pregame ceremony still lingering in the air. It's like a fog game at Boston Garden back in the 70s.
It's like they played some hockey in here and just lifted up the ice. But you talked about Al a lot there, Scott, and he's the kind of guy, you talked about a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, and that's rare for a point guard. It's usually going to big guys, and he sets the tone at both ends for Joe's teams.
That shot from the outside, no good. Little put back there, getting the rebound was Hinkle. And big news we should mention as well, as we see Anderson coming down the floor, Anthony Anderson, from the outside for 3, and that just goes off the back of the iron, and the Edge will turn it back the other way. But the Edge, without their leading rebounder, Grandy Glaze, who is with Team Canada, and Carl English, their leading scorer, getting some rest. There was rumors he would play, then he wouldn't play, and I don't think he's in the lineup, so a couple of big minuses in terms of lineup for the St. John's Edge, but Moncton doesn't worry about that. They'll just play who's in front of them.
Yeah, Coach Dunlap talked. They had a big talk on the bus trip on the way up, and Carl was, of course, lobbying to play, but they thought better of it.
And they're charging through the lane is lucky 13, Terry Thomas, first-team All-Star in his rookie year last year, and Coach Salerno very glad to have 13, Terry Thomas, in the lineup, and he creates the contact there, and he'll go to the line.
That's a very familiar sight for Moncton basketball fans, seeing Terry Thomas get to the line and earn some charity stripe appearances here. As he best Canadian in the league last year, Scott, and he was one of the Magic killers, or one of the Miracles killers that the Magic went out and got themselves in the offseason to bring over here to Moncton.
So Thomas hits the first. He'll try to go 2 for 2 from the line here and get the back in. It goes off the back of the rim. Rebounded well, though, as coming in to grab it there was Jeremy Williams. And he steps out of bounds. So we'll see what Coach Dunlap does in terms of distributing those minutes that that Carl English would usually get. So we'll have to see how that goes. But again, not having your leading scorer and your leading rebounder for your first 3 games and being on the road so much, a little bit of a challenge on a few fronts here for the Edge.
And it changes their offense completely. Basically everything revolves around Carl English at that end of the floor. Pin down screens and ball screens and dribble handoffs, and none of it is here.
Slashing in there was Johnson. Great defense by Thomas. Now it's at the top of the key. This is Henry. Henry being guarded by Mitchell. Puts it on the floor, spins around. Backs Mitchell in. Tim Mitchell goes up. Going to the right hand was Henry, but good interior defense by the Magic.
Yeah, good challenge there from one of the best defensive players in the year last year, or the best defensive players in the league last year, Terry Thomas. Disrupting that shot enough, giving his big guy some help.
Taking it hard to the rack, there is Mitchell. And Mitchell, a familiar player to these Moncton fans, the only carryover from the former franchise here in Moncton.
And he's looking light on his feet as advertised there, Scott. Big news for him was his body transformation in the offseason. Worked so hard to come here in great shape, and is he ever.
First couple of minutes of this game, early on, 3-0. And again, the Edge not able to find the range from the floor right now as they are a little bit chilly to start. Here's Al Stewart, slashes in, goes to the right, off glass, rebound there. Mitchell couldn't get the rebound put back, and the Edge will bring it right back the other way. Almost turned over, but it goes into the hands of Desmond Lee, and Lee puts it up and in for the first bucket of the game for the Edge.
And AA doing his Anthony Anderson, familiar sight for all you NBL fans out there, watching the league's all-time leading scorer, and he works his way into the game gently. He doesn't force anything. He lets the game come to him. Tim Mitchell again.
Using every bit of that 6'9", 260-pound frame to charge his way in toward that bucket. Good start here for the Magic and certainly for Mitchell. That 3 ball from the outside, no good from Jerry and Henry. And again, the Magic quickly back in transition. Anderson stumbles, bumbles, but takes it to the rack, gets it to go. AA Anthony Anderson, the league's leading scorer with 2.
And he's just a professional scorer. Doesn't matter how he gets it. The dribble drive from the outside, he's going to score all the ways that you possibly can.
Hinkle backs in his man, steps back, little 22-foot jumper doesn't go, and Terry Thomas now puts it on the floor, takes it all the way, coast to coast. Thomas tried to scoop it underneath to Al Stewart, but it gets blocked down, and we'll have a couple of early substitutions here, 1 for each team.
A little too unselfish there from Terry. He had the free layup if he wanted it.
Anthony Cox into the game now, as Tim Mitchell will take a quick breather.
And Anthony showing his person. The local fans are going to love Anthony for his personality and his game. And check out those shoes.
He's got those bright pink kicks on.
Did you lend him a highlighter for those shoes before the game too?
Well, I did, and I didn't get it back, so I'll have to check with him at halftime.
That's right.
Stewart, top of the key. Nice little screen run there. Outside, long range, Anderson, front of the rim. That was bombs away. That was well outside the 3-point arc. Edge will bring it back up the floor now. Dipping it inside there for Hinkle. Hinkle's played well for St. John's through the first 3 games of their season. Johnson gets it inside to Hinkle. Hinkle steps away, baseline, and a nice look there from Hinkle as Charles, he's been a good player for this Edge team, and he's got a good start here for this St. John's squad.
Yeah, he's been over 20 every game. He's got that typical lefty game where it's a little bit awkward. You don't quite know how to guard him, and he just makes it go.
Well, that's going to be music to the fans of Moncton Magic all year long. Anthony Anderson to Al Stewart, and that connects 2 veteran players and 2 players who are going to be major cogs in this Magic machine all season long. 6:53 to go in quarter number 1. It's a 6-point advantage for the Magic. 10-4 your score. Outside for 3, and that's good. That'll cut the lead just a little bit. That'll bring it now to 10-7. Anthony Anderson now will slow the pace just a little bit.
And Superman Johnson gets on the board, and that's a bad early sign. If he gets things going, he's been a veteran in this league for years.
Thomas fakes the shot. Nice feed inside. And Anthony Cox, another long one at 6'9", uses all of it.
That's a tough finish on a tough catch. Anthony well to gather and finish with that left hand.
Good ball movement here now. Hinkle again puts it on the floor, steps back, gets it to go. And Hinkle right now, we were wondering who might take up the scoring load with English out of the lineup. Well,
Coach Dunlap was a little bit concerned with Hinkle's ability to go here tonight, being a little banged up himself and tired, but not showing signs.
And Williams from long range, no good. A couple of players bang away underneath. And flying in to grab the rebound is Terry Thomas, and he gets the crowd on their feet here as he gets the nice rebound and put back. 14-9. And again, it's Hinkle trying to keep that hot hand going. Can't find the mark there. And Stewart now will bring it back up the floor on the right side. Cox steps in front of him. Nice little dish off to Williams, and Williams goes to the left hand. And easy peasy lemon squeezy, says 21, Jeremy Williams, and again, the easy bucket.
And that's another good sign from the Magic. That what they have this year that they didn't last year was guys that could create their own shot and be creative on the offensive end, and Jeremy's one of those guys.
Alex Johnson, nice move, baseline, gets it to go, but Anthony Anderson right back the other way. Awkward looking shot.
And a good call there by the officials. Anthony got two hands in the back of Broadus.
And our game day officials for this home opener for the Moncton Magic, Todd McGinnis, Peter Phipps, and Dale Farish. So we've got our first timeout here, 5:11 left to play in quarter number one. The NBL is as advertised. It's a fast-paced league. Don't blink, you might miss about 10 points. 16-11 your score, and I know it's just early on, but a couple of quick thoughts for both sides.
Well, I think when you talked about the NBL and being an end-to-end and fast-paced league, and I think for all you newbies to the game here, to this league, I think what you got to understand here is there's not a lot of complication to how these offenses and defenses are run in this league. Teams spread the floor. They use explosive athletic talent to create shots, and it's a matter of who does that better. And it's all about defending the three-point shot and making the three-point shot with the court this spread. And the Magic, what they have this year, and for all you Moncton fans out there that watched the Miracles last year, what elements that were missing a little bit was there are lots of three-point shooters, but who could create the openings for those three-point shots? And when those three-point shots weren't there, who could create their own shot off the bounce? And the Magic have that in spades this year.
Well, so far, Alex Johnson leading the way with 5 points for the Edge. So,
yeah, and we mentioned him. He's a veteran of this league. Superman's that nickname, and there's a good reason why. You look at him at the end of the game, and he's Al Stewart-like. He fills the score sheet, rebounds, assists, steals. He's all over the place on both ends, and we talked to Coach Dunlap before the game. He's kind of the reason that Coach committed to come to the island.
Yeah, we did have a good chat with Coach Dunlap before, and we kind of asked him about the genesis of how he came. He said, you know, my phone rang mid-September, and he was asked about coaching a team, and he said, oh, for next year? And he was like, no, like for a couple of months. And
do I have any players? No, you don't.
And as you said, it was Alex Johnson who kind of got the sway train going and got Coach Dunlap there, and we see a nice play into the lane.
Terrell Baines taking it on the numbers from a big boy, and that's the newest member of the Edge there too, their first-round draft pick, who showed up for the first time the other night. Zach Gordon was really productive, double-digit rebounds in 17 minutes, and a good addition for them. They need him inside against this stout Magic front line, that's for sure.
Look at Anderson tight-roping the baseline, swings it all the way out to Al Stewart. He tried to put that pass off to the wing, but it was deflected, last touch by an Edge player.
And a couple more Magic killers or Miracles killers on the floor here, including Terrell Baines. Whenever he used to come into this building, he was a thorn in the side of the Moncton squad, and it's good to see him in Magic colors.
Yeah, he played some great minutes for the Storm last year, and he'll be great for the Magic. Back the other way, Broadus was looking to get that feed inside.
Al Stewart doing what he does, getting his hand on balls.
Some great interior defense now. Stewart to the wing for three, and Terry Thomas loves it, likes it, and the fans give him what he wants. That's a chair.
That's about as much demonstration as Terry's going to give you. A big fist pump there.
Zach Gordon gives it off there for Lee. Lee dips it back inside to Gordon. Nice outlet pass. Thought about the shot. Now they work that ball. Lee fakes the shot. All over the place. Everybody getting a touch here, and it's Alex Johnson again for three.
Yeah, it's more from Superman, and even in the closeout, that was a pretty solid closeout. Still able to rise and fire with that athleticism.
Terry Thomas puts it on the floor, goes in against Broadus. Nice ball movement now from the Magic the other way. Stewart to Anderson. Inside is Baines, and Baines, when he puts his mind to it, David, Terrell Baines, he wears 0, but he's anything but when he's in the paint.
And Coach Salerno talked a lot about him at the season ticket holder function that I went to last night, and he called him just the most reliable guy that he's got. He's old reliable. You know what he's going to get. He's a 13-7 guy. He's gonna show up on the score sheet. He's gonna get you those rebounds, and he's undersized for what he does, but he does it so well, and he's so athletic and hardworking that he just gets where he wants to go.
And Baines hits that one. 3:49 to go in quarter number 1. 19-14. Magic leading. Wholesale changes now for the Edge. Some fresh bodies on the floor, including number 40 Rudolph Jolly, number 30 Colton Ray, as well as number 10 Jaron Skeet. So some fresh legs, new personnel out there for the Edge.
And Skeet coming off a game last night where he gave them what they needed, 3 for 3 from the three-point line. And they're going to need some shooting touch in this game if they're going to stay with the fresh Magic.
Jolly, top of the key, now gets it into Johnson, slashing in there, and Johnson high off glass. Not sure if Jolly will get credit for the points, but again, Alex Johnson right now putting this Edge team on his back. And he is carrying the rock for the team from the rock.
Yeah, and he looks like he's put his mind to it with my two seatmates out here, the two big names for his squad. He knows he's got to do extra work tonight.
Baines tried to push that ball in, but it's Lewis now back the other way. Johnson from the outside, 3 ball, no good.
Got away with one a little bit there. Marcus Lewis did a great job penetrating the lane and kicking back out to the hot hand.
Here's the NBL all-time leading scorer, Anthony Anderson now. Gives it off to the all-defensive everything, Al Stewart. Terry Thomas now from the right wing side for 3, and Terry Thomas, I don't know what he had for breakfast, but he's going to want to have it again tomorrow because he's feeling it.
2 for 2 for double T, and he's talking about it and giving his check at this end a good elbow. Let him know he's there down here.
Johnson tries to run a pick, gets the ball back, fakes it, puts it on the floor, spins away from Baines. And now looks like we're going to have a foul call on Baines as Alex Johnson incredibly active and giving this Magic defense everything they can handle.
He's a tremendous athlete, and he's tough to handle in the full court, but also in the half court. He gets his body into you, does that spin move.
So he'll take a seat now. Will number 3, Alex Johnson. Checking into the game is number 6, Jordan Jensen-White. A couple of new players out there for the Magic as well, including former St. Mary's University Huskies alumni player Marquise Clayton. He wears number 8 in white, and he's carrying the ball now as the Edge put a couple of more points on the board. 22-16 your score. 2:20 left to play. Scott Squires, David Tingley, and our broadcast crew, glad to have you with us. And another 3 ball, and welcome to the NBL, Marquise Clayton.
Rookie points for the rookie, and he became a fan favorite at the warm-up games here at Crandall University in town.
Nice little spin there from Colton Ray. Gets Thomas right in his grill, and Ray falling away, puts the ball up, and he'll go to the line.
And Terry is upset with himself. He's disappointed here. We talked a little bit before the game too. Terry's going to be disappointed not being able to match himself up against Carl English. He was looking forward to that challenge, and he's taking it out a little bit on Ray, and Ray's rising to the challenge too.
And just to finish the thought on Marquise Clayton, I've had the pleasure of covering several of his games when he did play for the St. Mary's University Huskies, and a dynamic player. He can electrify a team and change momentum when he comes in there, and not a bad way to check into your first ever professional basketball action by taking the ball down and calmly putting up a 3.
Great way to say hi. And I talked about him becoming a fan favorite at the Crandall games, and that was because his effort was just maximum effort, and the fans responded to it. It wasn't just him; it was all the players. You could tell how professional the professional attitude this team has taken for this year. It's an all or nothing NBL championship or bust type thing.
Lewis takes it right along the baseline. Cox and Baines there defensively. They did a good job, and then the ball came back outside. The Edge doing a good job in the paint. And again, it's got to be rebound by committee with their big rebounding leader, Grandy Glaze, out of the lineup. He was tagged to go play for the U19 team for Team Canada. Glaze averaging 18.5 boards a game. So a big presence in the paint out. But again, for Coach Jeff Dunlap and the St. John's Edge, they've got a rebound by committee, and they've been doing a good job so far early on. 5-point deficit for this St. John's team, playing their 4th game to start the season on the road. They won't play at home, David, until December 1st.
And that long wait will have that arena will be rocking back in your hometown.
Mile 1 center indeed. The fans over in St. John's, they'll stop by George Street for a quick bit of supper and then off to see the St. John's Edge play their first ever professional basketball game on the island. Here's Corey Allman, another new player into the game.
And Corey, that's his game. He's a fill-it-up guy from the perimeter.
Jensen White takes it strong to the basket. Underneath there is Jolly with the rebound. Another one. Look at Jolly controlling the glass. Couldn't get the ball to go, and he gets it back up against Baines. And right now, Jolly trying to earn his pay in one sequence in the paint.
And Terrell Baines is upset with himself, but he got a little bit passed into trouble. You give a big guy that outlet pass, you're asking for a little bit of trouble. And Terrell turned himself into an edge defender, and it created a second opportunity here for Jolly. Tim Mitchell checks back in for the Magic.
Mitchell certainly a big body in there, 6'9", 260 pounds. Got a couple of big-bodied players on this Magic team. Kevin Farrell-Thomas, 6'8", 270.
Yeah, and you got some size up front, but what you have for the Magic that the other teams don't have from their size is the ability to put the ball on the floor a little bit, quick, light on their feet, especially now that Timmy's coming in 30 pounds lighter from last year. This is a team that these big guys can really move up front. There's no lumbering guys on the front court for the Magic.
25-21, looking to cut it to a three-point game, and they do hit that one, does Jolly. So 25-22, three-point advantage for the Magic with 1:10 left to go in the quarter. Thomas being D'd up there by Ray. Thomas spins around, gets it baseline toward the corner. Corner ball doesn't work there as Baines had it roll around the rim. Couldn't get the friendly Coliseum roll, and Jolly will just stop there from outside. Jolly with the rebound, Jolly a monster in the paint, 40 in blue, my goodness.
Yeah, he's a huge guy. They got to get the box out, get your butt onto him and push him out of the key.
And Corey Allman gets into the rhythm as he strokes it from outside. Jensen White the other way quickly in transition.
And Terry Thomas was celebrating the three, and the St. John's Edge pushed the ball and got it up ahead. And a quick two at this end.
Terry Thomas, nice little feed inside. Baines tried to get it into the paint, but it was intercepted. And now back the other way is Ray. Quick ball movement again by the edge. Ray gets it back. Thought about the three ball, puts it into the corner, and Lewis takes that corner three down in that corner just to our left. Rolls around and comes down into the hands.
Now a little bit of a concern for the Magic with not a lot of game experience under their belt was being a little bit of continuity that the St. John's Edge might have. And we come to the end of the first quarter, and it's a 4-point Moncton Magic lead.
And a moment ago, if we're wondering if Marquise Clayton is a bit daunted by his first professional game and the TV lights, although they weren't able to connect on the shot, that little behind-the-back scoop pass over to the corner, that was pretty cheeky. So
even a little Magic one there with that feed into the corner.
So Marquise Clayton certainly looking right at home here for the Moncton Magic, but indeed, 1 quarter in the books, 28-24 the score, the Moncton Magic leading the St. John's Edge. So a very entertaining first quarter of play, but with 1 quarter in the books, quickly, just a quick summation of, first of all, the visitors, the St. John's Edge.
Well, I think the concern for them was were they going to be able to have the legs to hang with the Magic here early, and it looks like they've gotten themselves into the game and are hyper competitive. I mean, we've talked about Jolly with his Herculean efforts inside, keeping balls alive, and guys really look like got their legs under them, and they're stroking the shots from the outside too. So St. John's came in here and they had every reason to not compete, but compete they are.
And for the Moncton Magic, you talked about it. They've had practice, they've had exhibition games, but their first real, genuine game action. So, what did you like what you saw from them in that first quarter?
Well, listen, what you like is, and what I talked about a little bit there during the first quarter, is dynamic shot creation. I mean, last year this was a three-pointer or bust type squad, and what you like to see in the Magic this year is you got multiple ways of scoring the ball. You got outside shots, you got penetration from the wing, and you got big guys inside that can handle the ball and make a post move and bank it in. And so you got 3 levels of scoring there, and that's exciting for Magic fans.
Well, talking to Coach Salerno before, he's excited to have this team, but again, he mentioned Terry Thomas. A big first quarter for Thomas, 8 points, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, and a couple of assists. So that's a pretty solid first quarter right there for Terry Thomas.
Yeah, and he's showing a lot of emotion here. He's excited, and he's really trying to bring his teammates along here. Got himself almost too excited there, waving his teammates on, and didn't get back on defense a couple times. So he's got himself so hyped up here, he's almost losing some focus. But he's going to get that back really quickly.
So second quarter underway, ball put in play now, and the Edge have possession. Working with it is Jensen White. He gives it off to Jolly. Jolly puts it up. That's for 2 from about 24 feet. Nice work there by Ray to come in, and grab that board.
Just out hustling the Magic there, flat-footed. For the more well-rested team, that's not going to sit well with Coach Salerno.
Marcus Lewis dumps it inside there for Rudolph Jolly.
But Marcus Lewis, we're going to talk about a little bit, a high flyer, NCAA slam dunk champion from 2014, and he showed that in this building a couple times last year.
There's Marquise Clayton now, trying to get a screen there, takes it down to the right wing, dumps it back outside for Anderson. Anderson puts it on the floor, goes in against Jensen White. Good D there from White. Back out to Baines. Over on him was Ray, and Baines, with shot clock winding down, takes it strong, and after about a 2-second count, it just hung there, but it found the back of the bucket.
Some sweet feet there, and a pretty finish with the scoop shot. That was plan probably H there. Definitely not plan A.
Skeet now it goes back up top to Ray. Ray puts it on the floor, takes it inside, and Jolly took it strong to the hoop, and Marquise Clayton was coming in. A big size disadvantage there for Clayton, going over top of the much bigger Jolly, and Clayton takes the foul.
Colton Ray is really showing out here. Alex Johnson, when he had to take a break, he probably worried a little bit about the playmaking for the Edge, and I'm telling you, Colton Ray's picked up right where he left off.
I want to say hello to all of the fans of the St. John's Edge watching our broadcast here, and many of them, I'm sure, are in St. John's, my hometown, the place of my birth. I won't tell you how many years ago that was, David, but let's just say that I was alive when Jack McDuff won the Brier for Newfoundland way back when.
You can't lie to me. I'm close up here. I see the wrinkles. You can't lie. And check us out. I'm at Hoops Tingley on Twitter, people. Join in, say hi, let us know how you're doing out there, whether you're in St. John's or United States, listening from North Carolina, which we'll get to in a bit, probably.
Absolutely, and my Twitter handle is Johsco, Johsco. Love to hear from you on social media. So 16 seconds left on the shot clock. 4-point lead for the Magic here with 10:40 to go in quarter number 2. 30-26 is your score. I'm Scott Squires, alongside my broadcast partner, David Tingley, and we will be with you all season long for the Moncton Magic home games from right here in the Moncton Coliseum. They've got us a sweet setup here. We are literally just a few feet to the left of center court. A great place to call a broadcast, call a game from, and we are glad to have you with us. Of course, fans of the Moncton Magic as well. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Anderson takes it strong into the hoop.
And he's questioning that call, and with good reason. He seemed to be the edge defender seemed to be a little bit too far under the hoop, but he was in good position and got the call. And one thing we talked about, the Edge trying to replace Carl English. One place they're not doing it tonight is from the three-point line, which is not a surprise. They're looking to get the ball and go to the hoop. And other than Alex Johnson, there hasn't been a three-pointer made here by the Edge, and they're doing their good work other ways off the bounce.
Nice smooth jumper there from Broadus, gets the deuce. Back to a 2-point lead now.
Broadus had a very strong first game there, opening night for the Edge, and
my goodness, Marquise Clayton with the miss. And, well, all I can say is Tim Mitchell, he got fed that rebound and knew exactly where to put it, and then right back the other way off the turnover.
I was rudely interrupted by Timmy there. Go ahead anytime, Tim.
Clayton now feeds it down to Williams. He takes it baseline in strong there against Ray. And Mitchell likes that.
And Jeremy's a great example of what I talked about, this shot creation dynamic that the Magic have. He's a big guy, rangy on the wing, and he can shoot the three and put the ball on the floor and go to the line, and showing off all his game here.
Colton Ray will take a seat now. Charles Hinkle back into the contest for the St. John's Edge. And while I have a moment, I want to mention as well, what a beautiful job of singing the national anthem en français and anglais as well by Les Jeunes Chanteurs d'Acadie, a youth choir from here around the greater Moncton area, and they were absolutely beautiful. We were just a few feet away, and just a tremendous job by that young choir, and it was great.
You said it, angelic.
It was. It really was.
I haven't been able to hit those notes in a long time.
No, I think the last time I did it was when I did the splits by mistake.
Right. Now, you talked about your singing game before the pregame.
Oh.
You're going to be showing it off at some point.
At some point it
Don't
will
let me
happen.
down.
Turnover there as it just went out of the hands of Henry. And Anthony Anderson now will bring it back up the floor for the Magic. Quick pass to Clayton. He'll put it up for three. And there it is from Dorchester. Marquise Clayton hits the three ball.
And he looks like he's been doing this for years as a pro.
I'm going to try and pull a bit of a Matty Devlin and get some place names from around New Brunswick, all of Atlantic Canada as well. So
there you go.
Dorchester, one of the communities I drove through on my way up, as well as Dieppe. And I'll mention lots more through the course of the season.
Jeremy got up real high to bring that one down.
Clayton enjoying himself, very much had a chance to talk to him before the game, and his smile was wide, and he was very excited to be here.
A lot of wide smiles on this Magic squad. A lot of real personable guys. A lot of guys that this community can really take to, and just a lot of real gentlemen. A lot of what Coach Slinger talked about. A lot of good team guys, character guys that you can count on to work hard and be out in the community, being a good example for the Magic.
So with 8:57 left to go in quarter number 2, it's a 37-28 advantage for the Moncton Magic. They have led from the outset. The Edge have been able to get close but have not been able to take a lead. And talking to Coach Slinger before the game, I asked him, I said, give me 3 keys for you guys to be successful tonight. And well, like most good basketball coaches, the first thing he came up with was defensive priority. He wants defense to be a priority for this team. He really thought it was important for the Magic to limit second chance opportunities for the Edge, especially from three-point range. Again, even with English out of the lineup, he knows that the Edge are going to put up a lot of 3 balls. And then he said kind of a mantra that this team has had all through training camp has been space and pace, especially on offense. So based on those 3 keys, how would you score the Magic so far through a quarter and a bit?
Well, I think you give him a solid score on those areas. Except I think if you looked a little bit at the defensive end, they're a little bit stuck in the muck, and I think you expect that a little bit with a team that's been practicing against each other, but not practicing against competition like the way St. John's has this past week. So sometimes you have that. Oh gosh, I'm live again, and I got to get my feet moving against actual live competition. It's not practice where I can let things slide a little bit.
And I want to say hello to the folks from the Newfoundland and Labrador basketball training. They are a great supporter of basketball at all levels in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. And I know that they're watching the game this evening, so a big hello to all the folks from the NBL, the NLBT on Twitter. Give them a follow.
And you talk about space and pace, and one thing you'll hear that from every coach in this league, because that's the basic offense for pretty much every team in the NBL. Space and pace, and run lots of ball screens, and lots of screen and roll, and whoever's got that, whoever can use that, the spacing the best, usually wins.
Clayton couldn't get the range on that little jumper. Back now the Edge. Again, Edge, great ball movement. This is Hinkle, left-hander. I think their fingertip might have been put on that ball there by Denzel Taylor. Yeah,
great challenge there by Taylor, and we'll talk a little bit about his defensive. He's a defensive stalwart there from his college days, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
Quick little patty cake give and go between Mitchell and Anderson, and then Mitchell almost got that ball above the rim, but it comes back the other way. Now it's Broadus. He gets it off to Johnson, back into the game. Broadus takes it straight to the basket, goes to the left hand, and he'll draw the foul as Denzel Taylor commits the penalty.
And Taylor's one of the Canadian content on this Magic squad as well. Up to 5 Canadians, up from 4 last year for every NBL team. And he's one of those guys filling those spots. And he, Old Dominion University was the Defensive Player of the Year, voted by his teammates his last 3 years at ODU.
Well, interesting, this Moncton Magic team, a good mix of veterans and rookies. 4 rookies on this team: Denzel Taylor, Marquise Clayton, Ashanti Day, and Kevin Farrell-Thomas, all Canadian.
All Canadians. And that's, we talked a little bit before the game, too, about the added depth in this league this year over last year. I think all the fans out there will see that right from the jump, and a lot of the reason for that is the quality of the Canadians that have been brought into the league this year, and those guys are an example.
Good hands there on defense by 44, Zach Gordon, as he stepped in front of that pass as they were trying to feed Tim Mitchell down deep.
And Timmy's going to take a seat. And a couple of the things that a couple of the reasons that Timmy wanted to lose some weight were number one, as great as he was on defense last year, you're always going to be able to move your feet a little better with some weight off. But number two, and it goes hand in hand with that, is staying out of foul trouble.
And Johnson faked the shot, drove to the bucket, and gets it to go. And he continues the hot start here. Does number 3, Alex Johnson.
A remarkable stat from last year was Timmy Mitchell almost averaged 5 fouls a game. And for a full season to do that, and he was left all alone under the hoop defensively some days, and that's reason why he had a lot of foul trouble. But losing the weight a little bit, he thinks he can move a little better and avoid those fouls and challenge better at the rim.
7:21 left to go here in the first half. It's a 7-point lead for the Magic, 37-30. And Marquise Clayton, he's feeling comfortable out there, but he's gone a little bit cold from the floor. He's missed the last couple of shots he's taken, but it's not deterring him. He's still putting that ball up. Gets it back there from Taylor. Clayton takes it strong to the rim, can't get it to go. Rebound chance there as Cox grabbed the rebound and tried to put it back. So nice move by Clayton, and good job underneath the glass by Anthony Cox.
It doesn't strike me that Marquise Clayton's going to have a crisis of confidence anytime soon.
No, he's a confident young man, and playing for a prestigious program like the Huskies and playing in some big games in Atlantic University sport under the bright lights of the Scotiabank Center in Halifax. He's been there, he's done it, and you can tell early on. I mean, he scored on his first possession, first shot with the 3-ball. And he's just been very comfortable out here. Has the rookie number 8.
And even when he gets inside and misses, that's that's as good as an assist for a point guard. You attract all that attention and you leave your big guys alone on the boards. That's as good as an assist.
Anthony Cox now looks to tag one on, bags it off, iron it in. So it's a 9-point lead, 39-30.
Another strength of these Magic big guys, they make the free throws.
Broadus fakes the shot, tried to feed it inside there. Zach Gordon went through his hands, and right back is Clayton. Looks to get it to Taylor, but great defense by the shifty Johnson. He's doing it on both ends of the floor, is Alex Johnson for the edge.
And that's the kind of thing that Marquise is going to have to get used to from the coming from the CIS to this league. There ain't nobody strong and quick like Alex Johnson in the AUS.
And Johnson didn't get a good result, but showed some fantastic handles there going into the paint one-on-one against Marquise Clayton. Clayton now takes it in against the much taller Gordon. And here come the edge, right back the other way, coast to coast. And a deuce put on the board there as Desmond Lee goes from one end to the other, and in transition, it's a deuce for the edge, and it's now down to a 7-point lead.
And a couple times in a row there, Marquise got off the ground to throw a pass, and that can be dangerous.
Now it's Lee on defense against Anthony Anderson. Coming in to run a little screen, there is Cox, and all kinds of bodies climbing up together and twisting around.
The Edge created a lot of havoc their first 2 games by doing exactly what you just saw there, coming way out and double teaming that ball off the screen roll. Getting the ball out of the hands of an Anthony Anderson that far from the hoop is exactly what you want to do defensively.
So with 6:14 left to go, a 7-point lead for the Moncton Magic, 39-32. Coach Joe Salerno calls a timeout, and we referenced the Carolinas earlier, and of course this game being broadcast. If you've got an internet connection, you can watch this game. And we did have a great chat with the St. John's Edge coach, Jeff Dunlap, and he wanted to say a big hello to his wife and kids watching back home in Raleigh. So to wife Dee Dee, as well as Brady and Brooklyn, we want to say hello all the way from the east coast of Canada here in Moncton. Hope you're enjoying the game. And my guess, well, you know, it was pretty warm here today, but my guess would be the temperature probably a little friendlier down in the Carolinas. They're down toward the southern tip of the U.S.
Yeah, it's definitely. We can't complain what's going on up here, but no, nothing compared to down there. But listen, please do distract from what's going on here in the building. My face should not be that large in any circumstance. Nobody should be subjected to this large a picture of me.
I didn't even notice. I was looking at the handsome and dashing Coach Joe Salerno.
Yes, as you should be.
And speaking of shout-outs, watching here in person, actually, a family member as well, Coach Joe Salerno Sr., his dad, Joe Sr., I should say Coach Joe Salerno Jr., Dad Joe Sr., here in the building.
And a former member of the Magic organization, or the Miracles organization.
Yeah, he made the trip up. Joe Jr. telling me that his dad likes to come up when he can catch 3 or 4 games in a short spurt, so he's here for the home opener tonight, and Joe Sr. is going to get to see his son's team quite a bit over the next few days.
Terry Thomas back on for the Magic.
Back to the action now. Al Stewart, awkward-looking jump shot, kind of floated it up there. Shot clock expired, but they get a fresh 24, and they get the ball back. Cox, good matchup there against Gordon. Steps back, puts it up. Couldn't get the roll off the front of the rim, and the rebound comes down into the hands of the Edge.
I'm impressed by the toughness of Gordon. You can see why they chose him with the 10th pick and got him in. A lot of times those draft picks in the NBL, even the first rounders, they don't stick around long sometimes, but he's here and doing a job, and a block shot there by Anthony inside.
Great rejection there by Cox, but Broadus will try again, floats it through the air.
Great rebound there by Terry, ripping it away from Gordon.
And Baines comes down with it. Johnson on the defense now, but they'll go to the other side. Putting it on the floor, taking it baseline against Hinkle. Stewart slashes through the lane, takes it baseline, and you see Hinkle looking at the official going, what, me? But the foul is indeed on 24 in blue.
Listen, Anthony Anderson leaves that disgusted look on the face of many a defender. You don't know how he gets the shot off sometimes. He's getting up there in age. He's 36 years old. He doesn't get off the floor as much as he used to, as high as he used to, but somehow, some way, he gets that shot up on the board and knows how to attract those fouls.
And he hits the first, and you know, it makes me a little bit sad when you talk about somebody who's 36 getting up there.
Ancient. Ancient. Says the 41-year-old.
I better go get a can of Boost. But you're absolutely right. I mean, you know, it is the first game, and, you know, before we came on the broadcast, we've talked about, you know, on paper, this Moncton Magic team, absolutely, really incredible just to see the talent up and down the line of veterans and rookies included. But they've got to put it together on the floor. But you just get the feeling this could be a very dynamic and exciting year for the fans of the Moncton Magic and for the franchise.
Listen, there's no, outside of maybe London, there's no team that can stack up to the team on paper that the Magic has put together. It's just a very well-constructed team. Solid point guard play, lots of shooting, lots of athleticism, and 3 really solid guys up front. So just a little sloppiness is what you're seeing, kind of that play there tonight so far, Scott.
And speaking of, there's a turnover, but look at Al Stewart trying to make up for it. And the turnover is one, and then back the other way. Lead pass for Lee. Takes it off the glass and in, and a kind of a scrambly sequence at one end where there was probably 2 or 3 turnovers back-to-back, each committed by both teams. But then a long lead pass, and Lee makes no mistake and gets the bucket, and now all of a sudden it's back to a 5-point lead. Edge hanging tough.
Yeah, and they got another one there. They're doing a solid job. They're pestering the wings into plays they don't want to make, and then they're waiting on that on those drives to the hoop, and they've gotten multiple charges that they've drawn so far. So these the tired legs that they should have, they're not showing them here. So, and the Edge are staying right in it against a talented Magic squad.
Well, that's exactly right. And Coach Jeff Dunlap, you know, he said, look, he said, we're kind of up against it tonight. It's been a long road trip. 2 of our big guys are out of there. You go, but we're still dangerous. And he knows if they can just hang around and be close in that fourth quarter, well, that's when anything can happen.
And this is an example of the depth of the league overall this year and what the Edge managed to do in 2 very short months. Put together a squad that without their top 2 players and coming in here against, you know, what would be considered one of the preseason favorites in the league, it's a 5-point game late in the first half, and it could be much closer. They've missed some open shots.
4:13 to go. 5-point advantage for the Magic. Baseline there, kicking out top there to Gordon. Gordon thought about the pass. Great defense there from Thomas. Takes it all the way. And defense from behind. Couldn't stop Thomas as he gets the nice layup.
Did a great job going up with his right hand and shielding and finishing with the switching to the left and shielding it and finishing it over Gordon, who's a big dude.
And all I can say is the defense that Thomas just put on Gordon, I'm pretty sure Gordon knows what kind of deodorant Terry Thomas now uses. Tough defense there from Thomas as he was all over the back of Gordon.
And when you talk to Coach Slern about the 3 keys and you talked about defense, a lot of what goes into what a coach will preach nowadays is deflections. If you can get your hands on balls, and there's no tandem that's going to be better at the league this year than Terry Thomas and Al Stewart at that.
Rashawn Broadus now setting things up. Gordon comes in to run a little pick there and block off Baines, and Thomas, and Broadus takes advantage. Wide open jumper, smooth stroke, gets the 2-point bucket to go.
Gordon sets a great screen, and that was an example there.
Williams gets it off now. Mitchell back into the game. He tries to back Gordon in. Jensen White came over to help.
And Tim Thomas doing his work down low. And Coach Slurner talked a lot the other night at at the season ticket meeting about when he talked to the fans, and Tim Mitchell being a fan favorite, the fans ate it up. Listen, we're going to get the ball to our big guy. He was underserved last year, he felt. One of many players that he got on the team, including Anthony Cox, talked a lot about that as well. Guys that were underserved in the league last year, getting them in here and giving them a chance to do what they can do.
So the foul was called on Zach Gordon. That'll send Tim Mitchell to the line. 3:18 left to go here as Mitchell hits the first.
And another thing Timmy's improved on in the offseason is his foul shooting. Last year he was mired in the high 50s and 60s, and his shot looks completely different. A lot more arc to it, and might be the first chance we get to shout out the Shot Lab, one of the sponsors, and the boys go there constantly. Yeah. Corey Allman talked to me last night about getting in there by himself at 10 p.m., getting up his 1,000 shots.
And that's a calm-looking stroke from the charity stripe for Tim Mitchell. He looked quite at home. Here's Broadus now trying to look at home from about 23 feet. No good, and gobbling up that rebound is Tim Mitchell.
Gobbling is right.
Allman now takes it out, works it over to Stewart. Stewart gets it back to Allman.
Corey hasn't gotten his game off, but we'll get a hint of his three-point stroke before long.
Mitchell tried to do a little spin move in the paint. That didn't work. Broadus now, corner three for Lee. Hits it from Carboneer. Desmond Lee with the three.
Coach Dunlap talked about him being the spark plug off the bench for them, needing to step in and do some work, and that's a Carl English range shot at that end.
Stewart couldn't get that shot to fall. From the outside, another three ball, and now the edge. They may not have the Newfoundland and Labrador native, the three-point dagger man Carl English in the lineup, but all of a sudden they're feeling the stroke from outside the arc.
And Skeet picking up where he left off yesterday, where he was 3 for 3 from the three-point line, and Coach Salerno is not pleased with some aspect of the refereeing all the way out at half court.
Well, this is as close as the St. John's Edge have been in some time. It's a one-point game now. The Magic continue to lead. They've led the entire way, but now just a one-point ball game, 45-44.
And you got to give credit to the Edge. We talked a little bit about how what they've done, and they've kept these games. If you notice their scores, their games have been around 100 points, one way or the other on either side of those 100-point scores. Haven't been terribly high scoring like the NBL is used to, and they are digging in at the defensive end. They're bringing that defense way out on those ball screens and hounding Anthony Anderson and Al Stewart up really high, making them make decisions, and the Magic look a little bit out of sorts.
I want to say a big hello to Tristram Clark, a fantastic producer based out of St. John's, Newfoundland, watching the ball game this evening. Tristram, wish you were here, buddy, but we know you're watching and we appreciate it. And, you know, the score is close. Just look at some of the stats. Field goal percentage, the Magic 15 of 37 for 40.5%, and the Edge actually a little better, 19 of 43 from the field for 44.2%. 5 of 13 from outside the arc are the Magic for 38.5, 4 of 12 for the Edge for 33 1/3. So the score is close on the scoreboard, and then you look at the statistics down the line, and the Edge hanging in there with this Moncton Magic team.
Yeah, and they've you wonder how, if this is going to be a second half situation for them where they wear down, but listen, no sign of it yet. And shout out to David Booth watching us from McLean, Virginia. Thanks for tuning in, David. Say hi to us again. Hoops Tingley on Twitter, guys. Join in the conversation. Say hi.
Thomas, nice little step back on under the defensive Broadus, but he hit the front of the iron. And the Edge will bring it right back up. Quick look inside to Jensen White. Couldn't get that layup to go as it rolled around the rim, and Stewart now back the other way with some pace. Hands it off there for Thomas.
They want to be headman on that ball and push, but every time the Magic do, there's the Edge back on defense.
Bit of a double team there on Thomas. Gives it off now to Stewart. 7 seconds on the shot. Putting it on the floor there is Taylor baseline. They're running out of time. 1 second on the shot clock. Allman from well outside.
And there's Taylor's game. He's not an offensive creator at this end, but he can go after that rebound and get it.
Al Stewart took it baseline underneath the defensive Jolly. He tried to kick it out. But again, the referee right there and blows the whistle. 17 on the shot, 1:19 left to go in the quarter. Still that 1-point game, 45-44.
And I think what Coach Salerno was getting on the referees about a little bit is the hand checking defensively and the bodying on the ball handler. And we'll keep an eye on that, see what we think about that too. But I think the I mean, the worry isn't the referees and the stripes. It's the guys in the blue uniforms here showing a really good effort.
Allman from outside, 3. No good there, but look at Mitchell dominating underneath the glass, getting the rebound. Terry Thomas from the other side. And now the Magic have gone just a little bit cold from the floor. They try to swing it outside there. Good job by Stewart to keep it alive. Almost an over and back, but it went off the fingertips of an Edge player, I believe. Thomas now takes it strong to the bucket. Jensen White on the defense, hindered the shot just enough. And here come the Edge looking to take their first lead. Corner 3 for Broadus, and he hits it. And the St. John's Edge have taken their first lead of the game as Broadus hits it from downtown.
And the Edge are just doing a better job of pushing the ball and finding open shots and challenging everything the Magic do at this end.
Broadus on defense now, takes the bump from Almond, I should say. Almond got the shot away and then went down to the deck, but again, some good defense from the St. John's Edge. And one thing I've noticed, David, maybe you can comment on it, but the St. John's Edge team, very aggressive on defense, and they get to the ball carrier quickly, and they shut down any time and space that a Moncton Magic ball carrier might have. Very aggressive defense from the Edge. Yeah, incredibly aggressive, and it's paying off for them. And Coach Salerno, like we talked about a little bit, talking a little bit at this bodying up, but they've been consistent. They've called the game the same way, both ways, and the Edge are just doing a much better job of imposing their will and allowing the referees to call the game their way, and they're playing the way that they have to keep the Magic in check, and it's been impressive to watch so far. Almond gets that friendly Coliseum bounce. Tie ball game, shot clock is off, 22.3 to go. And now the Edge will bring the ball up the floor. This is Broadus, who hit that 3 just moments ago. 15 seconds left on the clock. Broadus now being watched by Stewart. Trying to work around Al. Broadus puts it on the floor, takes it into all kinds of traffic, and turns it over. Not much time left. Battle for it there, right in front of our broadcast position. Down to the floor goes Jolly. It ends up in the hands of Stewart, and he couldn't get it to Allman in time as the clock expires in a frantic final 22 seconds. And it ends up being back to square one. Yep. One half in the books, 47-47. What a frantic finish to that first half. That scrambly finish is indicative of pretty much how it went. The entire half a little bit ugly for the Magic at the offensive end of the floor. A lot of St. John Edge players flying around the court, getting their hands on anything they can, making things incredibly difficult for the Moncton Magic here in the home opener. And I think it's a well-earned 47-47 game here. I think this is pretty indicative of how the game went. Pretty evenly fought, and the Edge got to be very pleased with where they are. Well, before we take a halftime break, we'll look at some of the player stats in a minute, but we talked about Coach Salerno and what his keys were for his team, and you kind of broke it down and gave a grade. In talking to Coach Jeff Dunlap before the game, he knew that he wasn't going to have Grandy Glaze, their leading rebounder. He knew he wasn't going to have Carl English, his leading scorer. So I said, what are your keys? And he said, really, I want us to have better execution. And he said, overall, I would like us to be better as a unit, especially with those two guys out. And I want this team to be able to create shots. And I think you saw a lot of that ball movement. That's what the Edge were trying to do, was to create shots. But based on those couple of comments, and Coach Dunlap also saying that he admits his team is a run-and-gun team, and that's what he wants them to do. So based on those couple of keys, kind of the same thing that you did for the Magic, just kind of grade how you would say that Coach Dunlap would feel about his team's effort in that first half. Well, he's got to be really pleased, because I think when you watch the opening few games of the Edge season that I watched there coming into this, everything was centered around Carl English. Not that he was the guy that they were getting every shot, but everything centered around him. He was the sun that everybody else orbited around. So they would set pin down screens for him, handoffs to him. He was doing a lot of the shot creation with guys not standing around watching, but playing off of him. And so now they had to do that. Everybody else had to step into that role. And we talked about it. A couple guys that did that very well for them was Broadus. Okay, he had his moments there in the second quarter. Of course, Hinkle had a pretty good start. But when they cooled off, you had Alex Johnson, of course, controlling things, and Colton Ray really stepped in and gave us some strong minutes. So I think really that shot creation and what we talked about, you talked about the Magic keys too. First thing out of Coach Salerno's mouth was defense. I think he's sitting in there talking to those guys going, the better defensive team in that half was the team that's coming in here playing their fourth game. Now, I'm going to mention 2 players from each team, and I want to give you just a quick thought on what they brought to their squads in that first half. First of all, for the St. John's Edge, Alex Johnson leading the way in points for the Edge, 10 points on 4 of 9 shooting. What did you see from him?
Well, we talked about a little bit about him being a kind of a stat sheet stuffer, a little bit of everything, rebounding, assists, steals. He had to be coming here and focus and be more of a scorer for them, and he gave them that right off the bat. Filled up the bucket a little bit, let the other guys around him get comfortable. He's a veteran in this league. He's been on all kinds of teams. He knows how to get that team, give the team what they need, and they needed scoring, and they got that from him off the top.
And another player, just looking at the stat line, I called his name a lot, especially in the latter stages of that first half. Rudolph Jolly, 6'10", 280 pounds. He had 6 points, but 9 boards.
Yeah, and he's been around the league a little bit too. Not gotten a lot of minutes with the team shorthanded. He got a chance to step in and prove himself, and he really has. 9 big boards. You said his name all the time, and he got his hands on a lot more than the stats might show too.
And for the Moncton Magic, leading scorer through that first half, Terry Thomas, again 4 of 9 from the floor. He had 10 points. What did you see from Big Double T?
What you always see from Terry: max effort at both ends of the floor. Great ball handler and penetrator, can shoot the ball, does a little bit of everything. And he's coming in here. He's a league all-star, best Canadian in the league last year, and showing why. And he's showing it at both ends of the floor. And when he doesn't show it, and when he gives up a hoop, you can see he takes it personal. And nobody wants it more than Double T.
And we talked about the rebounding leader for the St. John's Edge. Well, it was a familiar player. We talked about him. He is a carryover from the franchise that was here previously. Tim Mitchell, 8 points, 9 boards.
Yeah, and look, he was a top 5 in the league last year in boards, and shows it why. And he steps it up even a little bit more on the offensive end. He's number 1 in the league, or number 2 in the league, I think, last year in the offensive rebounding stats. And he's another just effort guy. Go and get the ball. I don't need it for me. I'm going to keep the ball alive for my teammates, and he created extra shots for the Magic in this half.
Well, we are about 10 minutes away from the beginning of the second half. The St. John's Edge playing their 4th road game in about a week. The Moncton Magic playing their first ever home game, their first game of the season. And one half has solved nothing. We are tied 47-47. I'm Scott Squires. My broadcast partner is David Tingley. We're going to step aside, take a break. You are watching the 2017-2018 National Basketball League of Canada, live and exclusively right here from Moncton. We'll be back with the second half in just a little bit. just about set to go here with second half action from the Moncton Coliseum. It's the National Basketball League of Canada. It's the opening game and the home opener for the Moncton Magic. I'm Scott Squires alongside my broadcast partner David Tingley. And just a couple of seconds left here before the two teams will head back out and tip it off for the second half. A 47-47 game, David. And from what we saw in that first half, first of all, for the St. John's Edge, what do they need to do to have a difference and to come out on top in the second half?
Well, I think the conversation in the locker room had to be more of the same. I mean, challenge the Magic at every turn the way you did in the first half. Get to those 50-50 balls that you get in the first half. Run your stuff, because they ran their stuff better. They defended better. They got to the 50-50 balls, and that's the exact message that I think Coach Salerno on the other end is sending. Is you got a team in here supposed to be tired. You got a lot of excuses to lay down for you, and they didn't. What are you going to do about it?
Well, and this is the thing. I think Coach Jeff Dunlap, when he talked to me about his keys, and he kind of looked at me with a bit of a twinkle in his eye, and he said, but you know what? We're still dangerous.
Listen, it's a big opportunity for these guys. I mean, Jolie is a great example, okay, and we're getting some feedback on him from Twitter, and you're right. This guy, he's a league MVP from International League in Vietnam. This guy knows what he's doing. And just because he hasn't gotten the minutes on his other squads doesn't mean he can't step up here. And that's the type of thing that you get excited about as a coach. Let's see what these guys can do in a situation where their backs are against the wall and the Edge are showing what they got.
And before we get going here, I would be remiss. I gave a shout out to Coach Joe Salerno Jr.'s dad, Joe Sr., who's here in attendance. Also want to say a big hello to Joe's mom, Ann, who's watching back home in Vermont. And thanks to Jim Severance on Twitter for making sure that I send out some shout-out love to the mom as well. You got to remember the moms. Can't forget the moms.
You just saved Joe's butt. He owes you one.
So there you go, Mom and Dad. And we are back underway. Magic now going right to left on your screen, the Edge left to right. And not a great start for the Magic coming out here, first possession in this second half. We are knotted up 47-47. I want to thank everybody for their tremendous interaction via social media on Twitter. We truly appreciate it. We're glad that you're with us, and we're glad that you're enjoying this very exciting home opener for the Magic. There's a 3-ball for Broadus. He put the team into the lead late in that second quarter with a 3-ball. Couldn't get the range there. Spinning with it now is Henry. Henry takes it strong in against Mitchell. Ends up going into the hands of Hinkle. Gets it to Johnson. He's been electrifying and takes it off glass there. And Alex Johnson looking to pick up right where he left off, David.
Well, the game's picking up right where it left off. Hustle plays for the Edge, and mistakes at this end for the Magic, just kind of mental stuff that they're just a little bit messy.
Jeremy Williams gets it outside, kicked it out nicely there, and Anthony Anderson went off the back of the rim, couldn't get it to go.
That's offense you'll take every single time for the Magic. An open double-A three off a good penetration from Williams.
Charles Hinkle gives it off there for Lee. Now for Johnson. Johnson, fake putting the shot up, puts it on the floor, kicks it back out to Broadus, and Broadus hits it from Joe Betts' arm. It's good for 3.
Bringing rain with that one. A lot of arc for Broadus on that, and he's bringing a game tonight. He's a guy that had to step up. He had a couple of weak outings for him after that. A great showing in the first game, and he's really stepped up. And Timmy Mitchell got away with a full shove.
Did he ever, as Broadus came out on defense, and he decides to put it on the floor, take it strong into the paint, and gets the 2 points.
The refs are really letting him play. No better example of that one.
52-49. Johnson puts it on the floor against Thomas, and Thomas up over top of him, swats it away, but doesn't get the call, and he doesn't like it.
And we just talked about the referees on the play. That's the first call I might have a quibble with. Terry had his hands down there a little bit, but that's kind of been the story of the game, this hand checking that teams have been allowed to get away with, and it's gone both ways. But Terry's got a little right to complain a little bit.
So Alex Johnson led the way scoring-wise for this Edge team in the first half, and doesn't look to be letting up any at all here in half number 2 as he looks to hit the back end here of these 2 free throws.
Now, shockingly, Scott, the referee has decided not to reverse his call despite Terry's protests.
Wow, I can't believe it.
I know.
That's crazy. So a 4-point lead now for the Edge, their largest lead of the game. Williams swings it over to Thomas. Thomas decides to kick it out to Anderson. Back to Thomas, corner 3! Hits it from Hillsborough! Terry Thomas from outside.
Shout out to my homestead there. Thank you, sir. And Terry's really got the stroke going, and that's something that he was wanting to make more of a weapon in the offseason.
Broadus thought about the shot, and then Anderson came out on defense quickly. Lee now from that other side, clangs around. Mitchell there for the rebound and will not be denied. Hinkle tried to hinder him, but Mitchell grabs it and sends the Magic back the other way.
Yeah, it's a rare occasion when Timmy gets a hand on something where he's not going to vacuum it in.
Anderson, and away from the ball, we've got a call now. Didn't see who it was. That was over completely on the other side of the floor.
Well, I think it was the opposite ref, but he got on this side of the floor. He did. He got Jarian Henry for bodying up Timmy Mitchell.
Jarian Henry, long body at 6'10", 210 pounds.
Nicknamed Jackpot for all you guys that want to make a hashtag out of that in St. John's.
Williams kicks it to Anderson, swings it over now to the other side. Lee, Thomas. Thomas, nifty little pass to the corner. 3-ball, no good, and look at Broadus, quick on the ball. Rashawn Broadus and Anderson, or excuse me, Al Stewart and Broadus both pointing at the other and looking at the ref and saying, no, it wasn't me, it was him.
Al did a great job challenging the ball handler. It looked like he earned a turnover, but all the way across the floor, eyes can deceive me.
Broadus takes it through a crowd. Terry Thomas out on him now. Broadus, nice job there by Henry to run a little screen on Mitchell, and then Mitchell got away and came in to challenge Broadus.
The potential that this Magic squad has to be shut down defensively with guys like Al, and in that case, Terry Thomas and Timmy making a deadly duo.
And Thomas gets that outlet pass quickly and makes no mistake hitting that shot. So Terry Thomas looking to get the hot hand back once again, and then Hinkle answers right back the other way.
And Tim's pretty upset.
So Tim Mitchell will get the the foul called on him.
And Tim is still having an ongoing conversation with the ref, and the ref did a really good job there. Let him say his piece, gave him a look.
So a 1-point lead for the St. John's Edge, 55-54, 8:37 left to go here in the third quarter.
I think a stellar job here. We've talked very little about the refereeing other than the fact that they've let the guys play. I think it's a pretty solid job here tonight. And now Timmy's showing his frustration.
And now Thomas looking out at the referee with a kind of a quandared look on his face. And meanwhile, over behind the plate, it's Desmond Lee who went down to the floor and is kind of favoring the elbow a little bit, it looks like.
And Tim's gonna have a conversation with himself, or someone's gonna have a conversation with Tim. He's really frustrated with these calls, and he got away with a couple too. Little chicken wing down here at this end, but he's earned these foul calls here at this end during this possession.
They bounce it in quickly to Hinkle. Hinkle back to Johnson, and he and Hinkle have a little game of catch. Hinkle, nice little spin move there against Anderson. Couldn't find the pay dirt on the other end. And then it's grabbed there by Terry Thomas, and he'll bring it up quickly. Thomas takes it right into the face of Lee. Up and off glass and in. Terry Thomas, a one-man wrecking crew on that rush up the floor.
And one for Terry. And look, Terry can sometimes have a look when he's handling that ball that it's awkward. It's almost held out, and you're catching your breath a little bit going, oh, he's got that way of keeping that dribble alive. And he's got plentiful moves in the open court, and he showed it off there.
So back to a 1-point lead now as these two teams seesaw back and forth here early in this third quarter. Nice job there, boxing out and getting the rebound, and then Mitchell took it strong to the bucket, but great defense there as getting position was the defender for the Edge, and he drew the charge.
As soon as he got that rebound, I saw it coming a mile away. He was going to be taking that ball to the hole. It didn't matter who was standing in his way. His frustration level is at the max right now. And Timmy's got to take a seat. And listen, 3 quick ones. We talked about him avoiding foul trouble, being a goal this year, but he got 3 quick ones, and he's got to go to the bench.
Well, Jarian Henry, a brave soul to plant his feet and to take that charge. No question about it.
Minus 27 pounds or not, that's still a brave soul. You're right.
Alex Johnson will slow it up now. He takes it to the right, takes it into the paint, dumps it off there for Jolly. And it's taken right back up the other way. Here comes Williams. Gives it off to Thomas. Thomas turns away from the defender now, dishes to Stewart. to Anderson.
All right, Double A's been pretty quiet. This is usually the time he starts to think about taking a game over.
And Anderson tried to go in there against the double team as Johnson and Broadus were there defensively in the paint. And Anderson took it strong to the bucket.
And that's what's great. I talked a little bit about it at the start of the game. What's another of the many great things about Anthony Anderson is how well he lets the game come to him. But at some point, if he's been quiet and his team needs it, he's going to implant his signature on the game. And the edge here go a little matchup zone, looks like.
Stewart takes it in strong, gives it off to Cox. Cox had some good defense right in his face, and they turn it over. And now Lee from outside. No, front of the iron.
Got away with not boxing him out. Lee should have followed that shot. It was there for him.
And now the Magic. Double A, Anthony Anderson puts it on the floor against Lee, goes in strong, and coming in over the top was Jolly as he swats it away, and he followed the referee all the way up the floor with kind of the same look my daughter gives me when I tell her that she can't have a Bluetooth speaker.
Well, did you just break her some really bad news live on the air?
Perhaps.
Jeepers, Christmas. It's coming soon.
The thing is, my daughter knows me well enough. Her birthday is this week. She knows that she'll get it.
All right.
And that first shot from the charity stripe goes in for Anthony Anderson. And you mentioned Anthony Anderson has been kind of quiet, but if there's one thing we know, if he all of a sudden gets on fire, he can carry this team down the stretch.
No, and he knows when to pick his spots, and it's I'll be surprised if this game goes to the final buzzer without him making his presence known.
Look at Broadus take it in strong there against Al Stewart. And Coach Joe Salerno calling out to the referees that was a hold on that screen.
What I saw was a really well set screen. That's another small part that we haven't. I mentioned it briefly in the first half when Gordon set himself a beautiful screen, but Jolly and Gordon have done yeoman's work getting their big bodies in the way and letting guys like Alex Johnson and Broadus go to work here. And they're setting really solid screens. I didn't see anything illegal myself.
Nice job by Williams boxing out, grabbing that rebound off the missed free throw. 58-55, three-point lead for the Magic, 6:55 and counting, 13 on the shot clock. Stewart and Anderson play catch, down into the corner, Thomas for three, nope, off the front of the iron. Couple of players challenged for that rebound, good job again by Williams as he brings it down, fresh 24 for the Magic.
He's been go-go arms there, down there, keeping balls alive, little go-go gadget.
And Thomas gives it off to the gadget, and he couldn't get it to go there. And the edge will bring it right back up the floor. Johnson takes a look at the defense, tries to see where his teammates are. He sets up in the half court now. Johnson takes it himself and tried to dish it to the outside, but contact in the paint.
Guess who? Defensive Player of the Year 2 times over.
So a couple of substitutions. Allman coming into the game for the Magic. Stewart out, and Skeet checks in for the St. John's Edge. Broadus takes a seat.
And it's not just the NBL. Al Stewart's won Defensive Player of the Year in every league he's ever played in. So,
well, the Chicago native, he knows how to ball, and he brings a whole lot to this Moncton Magic team, no doubt about it. So does Terry Thomas. To Allman now. They work it around the perimeter. Good ball movement. Thomas takes it to the floor, dishes it off to the corner for Williams, and Williams hits from deep in the corner. Big three ball there from 21 in white.
Just one of the many guys that can step out and make their mark that way. Corey Allman's checked back into the game. I'm surprised they haven't done a concerted effort to get him involved from the wing. A guy in the inter-squad game at the Crandall University dropped 41, including 9 threes in that game.
Look at Johnson step back and try to get that shot to go. Goes off the front of the rim. Nice rebound and a good ball pursuit by Allman, and then a great job to keep it in bounds and goes over the back with it.
And Anthony Anderson's begging Williams to give the ball up the floor quicker.
Turnover there. Right back the other way comes Jensen White. And good transition by the edge as they took defense and turned it to offense quickly. 57 now for the Edge, 61 for the Magic, 4-point lead for Moncton. Terry Thomas decides to put it up from outside. Nope, doesn't go, and Jensen White grabs that rebound, and he'll take it with some speed the other way. Quick offload there to Skeet. Now it's Ray. Ray thought about the long three ball, puts it on the floor instead. Tried to dish it off. I don't know if Jensen White was ready for it. 10 seconds on the shot clock. This is Johnson. Johnson steps back calmly, puts up the 28-footer, and gets that to drain, and nice look there from Alex Johnson.
Have I mentioned his nickname is Superman?
Well, he is playing Superman. There's no doubt about it. Anderson, top of the key now, being watched closely there on the defensive end. Little bounce pass to Williams. Again, Almond in the corner, and Almond hits it all the way from Trackety.
Yes. So there's a taste of that inter-squad game, bringing it into the regular season for Corey. Let's see if that gets him going.
5-point lead now. Skeet for a three himself. Hits the back of the iron off glass, but a good job by the edge. Fresh 24 from the corner. Another three-ball attempt. Williams goes high for the rebound. Comes back out to the top of the key, and Almond grabs it there, and he sets it up now for Anderson.
And you saw that coming a mile away. Anthony had him faced up one-on-one. That was always going to be the result.
Calm, cool, collected, number 12, AA, Anthony Anderson with the deuce. Alex Johnson now. Controlling, being watched by Thomas. Dishes it off for Skeet. Skeet gets it right back into the hands of Johnson. Johnson, that floor general, a little between the leg dribble. Tried to get some commitment from the defense on the double team, and the ball goes out of play.
Great challenge there by Terry. Again, deflections. That's what Terry Thomas is about at the defensive end of the floor. He gets another one.
So, as we have a timeout here, 3:33 left to go in this third quarter, 66-59. The Magic have come back here to get back into the lead. Now a 7-point advantage after the Edge had come out and taken a lead early in this second half. And just looking at the team comparisons, both teams shooting in the low 40s from the floor. The Magic shooting exactly 40%, 22 of 55. And the Edge, 42.4%, 25 of 59. Both teams roughly the same from three-point land, 8 of 24 for the Magic for 33 1/3. Same percentage for the Edge, they are 6 of 18. And the big difference right now in this game, the Magic have gotten to the line 17 times, they're 14 of 17, only 3 of 12 from the line for the Edge.
Yeah, and I think if you'd, on both of those counts, I think if you'd have talked to us before, if we'd have talked before the game about how much of an edge the Magic were going to have on the edge from the three-point line, I thought it'd have been a lot more than +6, given the three-point talent in Carl English that the Edge were missing, and the talent from that line that the Magic have.
Leading scorers for the St. John Edge, Alex Johnson with 15, Rashawn Broadus with 12, and for the Moncton Magic, Terry Thomas with 19, Corey Almond with 8. And a couple of players with 8 actually for the Magic, Anthony Anderson and Tim Mitchell as well. But certainly Terry Thomas having the big scoring night for Moncton so far with 19. So,
and that's what you look for from, I mean, there's so many weapons. You're going to have nights when Terry Thomas goes off. You're going to have nights when Corey Almond fills it up. You're going to have nights when Anthony Anderson's doing Anthony Anderson things. But
only a few seconds on the shot. Skeet tried to put up the quick shot after getting the inbounds. No good.
Really solid play out of the timeout, though, by Coach Dunlap.
In transition, Anderson through a tree, or a sea, I should say, of Edge players. And somehow, some way, the NBL's all-time leading scorer finds another way to get a deuce.
Front page of the paper tomorrow, Anthony Anderson and an and one. Never happened before. First time sighting. That guy controls his body at the age of 36 better than just about anybody in this league. Just knows how to make contact and finish through it.
And Anderson hits the and one, and now it's a double-digit lead, largest lead of the game for either side, and it's the Magic with the 10-point advantage. 3:13 to go, quarter number 3.
And this is danger zone from the Edge, and Jolly goes back to work.
Jolly has been a nice performer here this evening for the St. John's Edge, but back the other way now. It's the Magic. Anderson. Marquise Clayton now back into the game. One of the rooks on this team. Anderson takes it in strong, gives it off to Baines. Jensen White on the defense. Baines spins, goes to the right hand, and Terrell Baines calmly puts it home.
And Anthony Cox and Jolly are getting a little bit antsy with each other down there in the paint. There's some elbows getting thrown.
2:35 to go here.
And Anthony with some good hustle to the corner.
And now here comes Clayton. Gives it off there for Almond. Almond steps back for 3. Nope, back of the iron, no good. Here come the Edge. Alex Johnson takes it strong, dumps off quick ball, but Jolly inside. And no problem there for the big man as he puts it up underneath the bucket and brings it back now to an 8-point game. 71-63, Moncton Magic leading here with 2:07 to go in quarter number 3. Hope you're enjoying this NBL action wherever you're watching.
I said it was getting to the danger zone by the edge, and they've scored the ball a couple times and gotten a couple stops, so they don't want to get go to the fourth quarter facing double-digit deficit in this game.
Jolly using every bit of that 6'10" frame to dominate the boards on both ends of the floor, and certainly defensively right now. Although a turnover, look at Clayton stepping in the middle of that pass, and Clayton gets fouled. Tried to get the continuation and put the shot up.
Looks like he got it.
Great job by Marquise Clayton on getting almost being overshadowed by the height of the two players he was in between, Jensen White and Jolly, but good hands from the rookie, and he creates some havoc for the St. John's Edge on behalf of the Magic.
And a veteran play by him there to get the shot up on the glass. A lot of guys would have dribbled that out. It would have been a side out, but got the ball up on the glass.
So 1:42 left to go here in the third quarter. And Clayton calmly steps up and hits the first.
And I imagine Alex Johnson's only rest is going to be this 1:42 to end the third quarter. I'd expect to see him back out to start the fourth.
So Clayton looks to make it 2 of 2 from the line, and he does. So with that, it's back to a double-digit lead, 73-63, Magic leading, and coming back into the contest now for the St. John's Edge, the 6-foot guard, Rashawn Broadus.
Gordon back in up front for them, too.
So Broadus calmly brings it in. Now he puts a little pace on, goes to the right hand, scoops it up and under, and Broadus.
Really smart play by Broadus. Gordon's used those screens so many times. Caught the Magic leaning toward the Gordon screen. He just went against it and finished it easy over the top.
Marquise Clayton being defended there by Skeet, puts it on the floor, a little bounce pass, almost turns it over, but it goes into the hands of Allman. Corey Allman now puts it on the floor. Baines comes out to cause a little traffic. That shot goes off the front. Look at Baines with the rebound. Right hand rolls around the rim, and the fans wanted it to go, but they couldn't will it home. And back in transition now is Broadus. From the outside for 3, front of the rim. Allman with the nice rebound along the baseline. And he dumps it off to Anderson, and Anderson will bring it up for Magic abreast across mid-court, I should say. Anderson now to Clayton, being watched again by Skeet. Looks up over top of Skeet, tried to get it into the hands of Baines. Almost an interception. Baines stayed with it. Good effort there by Baines as he almost had the ball tipped away, but charged it down and then ended up falling down in the paint. But again, just great effort from Terrell Baines.
Looks like the Magic are going a little bit with some big guy to little guy screens, looking for matchup problems. They've got it here a couple of times with the big guys rolling with the little guys guarding them. And Cox got it last time down the floor. Cox got it last time down the floor when he got Terrell Baines got it last time down the floor when he rolled hard and got the feed from Allman from up top. It just wasn't able to finish, but looking to clean up that mess here from the line for 2.
So Baines hits the first. He's got those long Nike leggings on. Got the white kicks as well. Pretty sharp out there.
Amongst the many things that weren't in fashion back when I played. And even if they were, I couldn't have pulled off.
And Baines, sharp from the line. And again, back to the double-digit lead, 75-65. Just over a half minute to go. 3-ball rolls around and finds the bottom of the bucket there as Broadus hits it from outside.
In his eye. Clayton, it couldn't have been any more in his shorts, and he finished it anyway. Such an athletic rise and fire.
And Marquise Clayton goes right into the face of Broadus, and Broadus kind of threw the head back, but again, Marquise Clayton would not be denied as he just took that ball right to the rack.
Yeah, and Marquise he's not showing any back down. He had some rough moments in the first half. He got subbed out after some ugly turnovers, and you like to see this guy just coming back in with focus and bouncing back and playing solid ball.
So Marquise Clayton back to the line once again.
And shockingly the other way, Broadus also not earning a referee turnover on the call.
So Marquise Clayton hits the first. He's 3 of 3 now from the line. Clayton with 9 points on the game, looking to go into double digits in scoring. And as he hits the second, he does indeed have 10 points so far in his professional basketball debut. So a good showing here for the St. Mary's University Huskies rookie.
Yeah, can't expect much more than that in your first pro game. And he's done a solid job here at the defensive end, too.
Well, that's a pretty tough task for the rookie, being asked to go out and guard and D up Alex Johnson.
He's playing against Superman here, a veteran of the league and a former league all-star, and you're coming in here and you're fresh out of the AUS, and you can't do much better than what he's shown tonight so far. A couple ugly turnovers, but rookies are going to have those, and he's going to learn from them. I'm sure that's going to be tape that he watches, courtesy of Coach Salerno in these next couple days.
Johnson gets it into Hinkle. Hinkle steps underneath Mitchell. Lofting looking shot. Can't find the range. And the quarter comes to an end. So it was a good start to that third quarter for the St. John's Edge as they broke out to their largest lead of the game, but the Moncton Magic stuck with it. And they've got some good play from a number of players, not the least of which their rookie Marquise Clayton. And after 3 quarters, they enjoy a 9-point advantage, 77-68. But again, break down that third quarter, first of all, from the Edge.
Well, look, they were doing more of the same. They're challenging everything that the Magic do. They are defensively, they are committed to challenging every pass. But it's not quite as sharp at that end as it was in the first half. The passes are a little bit, those straight line passes are getting from one spot to another for the Magic, allowing them to swing the ball and get open looks for a Terry Thomas and for a Corey Allman and for a Double A. And at the offensive end, maybe some tired legs. Those shots are rimming out. Cliche, but I mean, look, there's a reason. You can't play 4 games in 6 nights traveling, flying across the water and then taking buses everywhere and sleeping in strange places and not expect at some point for it to catch up with you.
Well, 77-68 is your score. I'm Scott Squires along with my broadcast partner David Tingley and our NBL Canada broadcast crew. Glad to have you along for this broadcast. It is the 4th game of the season for the St. John's Edge and the home opener and first game of the season for the Moncton Magic. And we talked about it off the top of the broadcast, but again, this St. John's Edge team, they are going to know exactly what it's like to be a part of a home opener. This is their 4th one in about a week.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. This is old hat for them. Hopefully it doesn't take away a little of the excitement from their own home opener, which I can't imagine. That's going to be a raucous location.
Well, listen, if the organization and the social media side of the St. John's Edge is any indication, and I know the fan base over there, it will be a very exciting night on December 1st when the St. John's Edge get to play their first home game.
That's a good point. It didn't take the organization long to get in the spirit of this league and do a good job on things like social media. They're one of the best teams already on Twitter and on Facebook, and they do a great job there and working up the excitement. And you can see it. There's a lot of the commentary we're getting is from St. John Edge fans. They're excited, and they should be.
So we'll reset for you. Start of the 4th quarter. St. John's Edge will have possession here, and they trail by 9. Alex Johnson, Superman, he's done a lot of good things here, and he gets it off to Hinkle. Hinkle, kind of an awkward-looking shot as he went up to the left hand as he got to the baseline.
And they started off the same way that I talked a little bit about the Magic changing their play, their screen roll play a little bit at this end. They went from a big to a guard ball screen, and they got Marquise Clayton having to match up with Hinkle, and that's just a little. He did a good job on him, forcing him wide, but that big body of Hinkle got into Clayton. He just wasn't in the spot to put a stop to it. But he missed the first at the free throw line.
The team only shooting 25% from the line in this game, and they helped that percentage just a little bit there as that one goes in. 77-69, 4th quarter action. Well, this is Mitchell.
There's no shot lab on the island, Scott. The Magic boys got shot lab here to go and work things out, work out the kinks.
Clayton. Gordon came out on him and then backs away. Clayton takes it strong. Yeah, gets it to Baines. Nice look indeed. Baines couldn't get the finish. And the St. John's Edge will bring it back up. Here is Alex Johnson. He's been that floor general all game. And Gordon.
Great screen.
He absolutely obliterated Marquise Clayton, and Clayton bounced right back up.
Didn't complain either. Good job on Clayton. That was a completely legal, completely incredible screen for Gordon.
Gets it in there to Mitchell. And it would appear that Zach Gordon, who is back into the game 44 in blue, is bound and determined to make sure that every player on the Magic knows what it's like to feel his body hard charging into him.
Yeah, every single forehead's running right in between of those 2 4-4s, those 4s on his uniform.
Gordon, the big guy, 6'8", 235, kicks it strong, went for the jam, couldn't get the finish, and here comes Clayton back the other way. Allman from outside for 3, nope. Can't get it to go, and here come the Edge.
Good offense, though, from the Magic. That's exactly who you want to find on that break.
Johnson, long-range jumper, finds it into the bottom of the bucket. And Alex Johnson just continuing to do what he does.
He's solid no matter the occasion. He knows what he needs to do. We talked about it. He knows he needs to fill it up a little bit, concentrating on his own, getting his own shot. And he continues to do a great job.
Bit of switch there on defense as Lewis gave way to Hinkle. And now it's Baines. Tried to work that ball in. Lee steps in front of it. Lee charging toward the basket. Right hand, and a big defensive play there as Baines came charging in. And Lee was cutting down the right side, charged hard to the basket. You knew there was going to be a collision, and Baines went in strong. And Lee slow to get up. That's a couple of times now Lee has hit the deck in this game.
And it's going to be a unsportsmanlike foul, and it's a good call. I know the Magic are upset, but that was clearly a shot to the head from the right hand of Baines, and I think he's a little frustrated with himself. He's had a tough night on the offensive end. He's been set up for some bunnies and not finished. Had a couple of turnovers. It hasn't been quite his best game. Showing a little frustration. I think he challenged that just a little too strong, and I think it's a good call by the officials there to give the two in the ball to the Edge here.
So Terrell Baines takes a seat on the bench. Jeremy Williams will spell him. And Lee, all by his lonesome, hits the first.
And Terrell, if you listen back to this broadcast, I expect some credit for getting your name right. He was very, very emphatic. Not Terrell, not Tyrell, Terrell.
And Terrell cooling his jets over on the bench at the moment. 77-73, and again,
and all of a sudden, it's a 4-point game.
Yeah, they're plodding their way. They've climbed back in. They've cut the double-digit lead now down to 4, and they've got possession. Here's Broadus stepping around Mitchell. Puts on the brakes, gets it to Lee. Lee zigs and zags his way in, goes to the right hand, and a great effort there by Lee. He saw the opening and took it.
Splits the D, beautiful. And another former NC State player for Coach Dunlap down in the ACC.
Thomas takes it strong himself, goes to the right hand underneath the hoop, and Thomas answers right back.
Such a pretty finish, a difficult shot. He used every part of the rim.
And there's the lefty Hinkle trying to get the 3 ball. That can't get anywhere into the bottom of the bucket for the Edge.
And Hinkle's a little frustrated. I think if anybody's feeling the effects of these this stretch of games tonight, I think it's him. Coach talked about being concerned about some weak legs from him, having played 40 minutes just last night in Cape Breton. And I think you're seeing that. He's not got the same lift that he's had in his jumper through 3 games for the Edge.
79-75, Magic lead by 4. Here's Clayton. Gets it over to Almond. Quick work around now, Thomas. And Thomas had it roll around the rim and underneath the basket, Anthony Cox.
And Cox has been looking for that call for 3 quarters. He feels like he's been held a little bit down there. I just think it's just a lot of bumping and grinding in there from these big guys all night, and Jolly is just a load to handle at 6'10".
So a reset here, 22 seconds on the shot. Clayton Williams thought about it, gives it off to Thomas. Thomas puts the forearm shiver there into the midsection of Hinkle, and Hinkle had to backpedal about 15 feet just to recover.
Really well defended by Hinkle, though. Terry's got that first step, and he wasn't going anywhere.
Cox, top of the key, gives it to Clayton. Nice little zip pass inside to Thomas. Thomas loves it along the baseline, gets challenged there, and Hinkle comes up with the ball.
Well defended again by the Edge. Challenging without fouling is so important.
Johnson and Hinkle, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and maybe one pass too many, as Hinkle might have thought about going back to Johnson, but he travels with that ball, and they turn it over to the Magic.
Yeah, they set screen after screen, and Anthony Cox did a great job of staying home, not falling for those screen after screen after screen movement.
So checking back into the game for the St. John's Edge will be Colton Ray. Hinkle will take a seat.
Giving Hinkle a rest. I think you'll see him back in for the last 4 or 5 minutes.
Well, Hinkle is the second leading scorer on this team, averaging 22.3 a game, so you know they're going to want his scoring touch into this game late. And a nice feed inside, and Cox, no problem. He'll put that home all day long.
Marquise Clayton so smooth off the bounce with the one-handed feed. That is such a tough pass.
81-75, 8:37 to go. Broadus, Clayton out on him. Broadus swats him away, steps back for 3, no good. Rebounded though, a good job there, I should say, by Ray.
And Ray just walked around Jeremy Williams, no box out there.
And Williams ends up on the floor almost on top of Ray with his Williams right arm kind of draped over the back of him.
Jeremy's not going to be happy with his effort there. He knows he's better than that. He just completely whiffed on the box out.
So the second foul on Ray, and Ray, what player doesn't look at the referee with their hands up in the air going, what, me?
Yeah. And we talked about Hinkle. We'll see him back, no doubt, for the final 4 or 5 minutes. He's too good. He's too important to this team. But his struggles, I think, are a big reason why. I mean, look, the effort the Edge have put in to be down by 6 here late in the game with Hinkle, only 7 points on the board on 3 for 11 shooting. You told me that before the game, I wouldn't have believed you.
So 8:22 to go. Moments ago, we just saw Jeff Dunlap having a word with one of the officials. Now it's Williams, top of the key, tried to feed it inside. Ray with the good hands on defense, but look at Williams follow it up and get the turnover himself. Now it's Thomas from outside. Couldn't get that shot to go, and then Cox tried to put it off the back of the defender, Johnson, but then it's the Edge right back the other way. And Ray tried to make a move, and then the referee behind the play whistles it down.
And a running conversation here between the referees and the referees calling over the. Yeah, Anthony was right to walk away there. And he's just a little frustrated. He feels that was a little bit of a ticky-tack call with all the stuff that's been going on. But, I mean, look, you can't have your hands checking the body of the ball handler. So
10 on the shot clock. Lee takes it along the baseline, gives it off, now gets it back from outside. Lee, front of the iron, and Clayton skies into the air.
Yeah, he climbed the ladder there to bring that one down against a taller Edge player.
Clayton listed at 5'8", but he was about 6'8" or more when he jumped up to get that rebound. And a nice zip pass inside to Cox. Now to the corner for Williams. No good. Thomas skies
way
in
up
the
in the air was Terry.
Ball comes down now into the hands of the Edge, and they'll just bring it right back up the floor. Lee steps around Clayton, and Clayton reaches in, and he'll commit the foul.
Smart foul by Marquise. He knew what was developing there. And you see the athleticism on some of these plays around the rim from these teams. Terry Thomas and Marquise and climbing the ladder to bring that ball down.
Broadus takes it to the right, dishes inside there, got it into the hands of Henry. Henry goes up against Cox. Cox, good defense, but Henry gets it back. Henry backs his man into the basket, now faces up, off the glass, comes down into the hands. Clayton tried to get there. Bit of a scramble for it, and Terry Thomas comes down with it. And then reaching in from behind was Henry to get the rebound. Johnson for Broadus from outside. Broadus. Rebound comes down, and again, good job boxing out, getting the rebound into the paint.
More hustle
Broadus
plays
again.
for the Edge.
Broadus 2 times in a row from outside the arc, can't find the range, and back come the Magic the other way. It's a 6-point lead, and whistle behind the play as Anderson tried to make his way toward the basket.
And Anthony's does such a good job with that little in-between dribble. He bounces the ball high and then brings it down low and shuffles his way past the defender. So good at that with both hands. I think you're going to take that ball away, and he's gone.
6:42 left to play in the fourth quarter. A tight ball game here in Moncton. Scott Squires, David Tingley, and our NBL broadcast crew. Glad to have you along for this Moncton Magic home opener, first game for the franchise. A fantastic buzz around the arena and in the community about this Moncton Magic team. And I think they've got a lot to be excited for. Clayton.
I think they got to be impressed with the quality of ball here from both teams all the way around.
Anthony Anderson now being watched there by Henry, puts a little elbow into him. Johnson tried to reach in on the defensive side. Anderson got the shot up. Big fight for it underneath as Denzel Taylor was there, but it comes down now to Johnson. Johnson all the way to the right hand. Yes! Johnson gets it to go. Nice move there by number 3.
Almost
Alex
impossible
Johnson
to stop in the open floor when he gets ahead of steam going like that. He uses his strength, his quickness so well. Get the ball up on the rim.
Marquise Clayton now gives it off there for Thomas. Thomas rolls around the rim. That's no good.
And Terry's shots deserted him a little bit here of late. Gone to that perimeter jumper, and they're not falling for him right now, and he's going to take a little bit of a break here.
So Corey Allman will check into the ballgame as Terry Thomas does indeed take a seat on the Moncton Magic bench.
And Taylor hasn't seen the floor too much tonight for the Magic, only a few minutes, but every time he's been in, he's created some sort of positive effect with his hustle. We talked about him being a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year for his team at a D1 school. Don't sleep on minutes from him.
Nice rebound there from Jensen White. And here comes Johnson from well outside. Nope, both teams have gone very cold from 3-point range here in this second half. Williams.
And another sloppy play in the open court from the Magic.
Another turnover now. Hinkle, bit of a Euro step there as he tried to work his way toward the basket and then dish it off. And the ball goes out of bounds. 5:34 left to go in this fourth quarter.
A little bit of epidemic of over-dribbling here for the Magic, I think, especially in the open floor, putting the ball down when they should be either pulling it back a little bit and not dribbling through traffic or head-manning it ahead of them. But St. John's, here it is, 5:34 left. So many times we expected the Magic to put their foot down here against a tired team, and it hasn't happened yet, Scott.
Well, you know, I've talked about the great job that the St. John's Edge have done in the paint at both ends of the floor, but points in the paint, which can sometimes be a very telltale sign. Right now it's the Edge with a 6-point advantage, 38-32 points in the paint. And, you know, that's been a big deal, especially given the fact that one of their biggest men in the paint, Grandy Glaze, not in the lineup as he is with the Team Canada U19.
Well, sure, that's a huge story. You expected with Glaze out and with the players of the caliber of the Magic up front that maybe that would be a spot where the Magic would control things tonight. But, I mean, you look at it, and I think Jolie's a big story there.
A great crowd on hand here at the Moncton Coliseum on a Wednesday evening, a mild and wet Wednesday evening. So a nice crowd here at the Coliseum and a great crowd watching our broadcast as well. And we are very excited to be here for this opening game. And of course, David and I will be with you for all 20 Moncton Magic home games, as well as who knows how many in the playoffs.
Playoff games, there you go. Positive attitude. So our next game is Saturday in this building. And we have a game Sunday afternoon as well, people. So a lot of us on your devices and your televisions in the next few days.
That's right. Get used to us, my friends. We will be here all season long.
So Saturday night, it's the Island visiting Moncton for the first time this year. Coach Salerno's old team. And on Sunday, it'll be the Cape Breton Highlanders visiting the Magic.
And if you look around the league, every team much improved. It should be an exciting NBL season. Trying to slash into the lane there was Jaron Skeet. And Anthony Anderson doesn't like the call as he's now having a few words with the official.
And another well-designed play out of the timeout. You don't expect him, if you to put this matchup out on the floor, these five guys for the Edge, you're not looking at Jaron Skeet as the guy that have the play called for him, but good job by going against the grain a little bit.
And Anthony Anderson now, he'll check out of the ball game. Terry Thomas back in, and Anderson still talking to himself as he heads over to the Magic bench.
I'd say this is a brief break for him, but that's 5 fouls, so 6. And for all of you rookies watching us here, 6 is the number of fouls it takes to get fouled out in the NBL.
Yeah, it's kind of a hybrid of NBA rules and FIBA rules here in the NBL, and I actually like it. It's got a nice feel to it. The overall rule setup, whether it's fouls or minutes in the quarter, it's a nice hybrid between NBA or pro on that level and FIBA rules as well.
And the timeout rules are much better in this squad and than particularly the NBA.
Good heads there. Jensen White takes it all the way. Can he get it to go? And great defense from behind as Williams came out of nowhere to slap that ball away. And he wants the possession to go to the Magic, but I don't think he's going to get the call.
Super athletic play by Jeremy Williams. He didn't give up on the play.
And there's 5:07 to go, but my goodness, wouldn't it be something if the St. John's Edge could pull this one out? Imagine going on the road and getting a 3-1 record. I know 5:05 to go here. The Magic are going to have a lot to say about it, but you know, even in the game they lost in Halifax, the St. John's Edge were right there to the final buzzer.
They could very well easily be 3-0 right now, absolutely. And I think if you ask them what their best case scenario was for these first few games on this road trip, I think you're looking at it.
So this is Skeet, 15 on the shot clock, gets it to Hinkle. He knows how to score. Hinkle steps in, puts the shot up, goes off the back of the rim, and rebounded nicely there by Jeremy Williams, and Stewart will bring it up and give it off to Williams. Williams gets it to Thomas. Thomas goes up against Hinkle, takes it in against the double team, goes to the right hand, and Terry Thomas gets the bucket.
He's too quick and has too many moves. Puts everybody in the blender, but back comes the edge, and Jaron Skeet.
And Skeet from downtown with the 3 ball. And the edge will not go away. The Magic can't push them over the edge. 83-82, a 1-point lead for Moncton. Terry Thomas now top of the key. Out on him defensively is Henry. Gets it off to Allman. Dips that pass inside. Terry Thomas again. Now it's Skeet on him, and the shot clock expires, and here comes Henry. He got it before. Gives it to Hinkle. Little Euro step into the left hand, and Hinkle, the second leading scorer on the edge, has put the edge into the lead.
And Magic stopped playing a little bit when that buzzer went off. There was only 2 guys back. Some people assumed the whistle was going to go a little prematurely there.
So getting ready to check back in are Mitchell and Anderson for the Magic. Thomas from downtown. Back of the iron again, just a little too strong. And all kinds of bodies flying in the paint, and Al Stewart doesn't like the call.
That's a good call. Denzel Taylor climbed on the back. He was boxed out, and he climbed over the back to get that ball back. And we're going to have a timeout here, I think. Coach Salerno's going to want to chat. And there it is. Well, listen, if you're Coach Salerno, I think this is, if they end up, and that's a big if at this point, if the Magic end up coming out on top in this game, I think this is going to be a game that he actually will look back on as a large positive, coming right out of the gate, having a competitive back-and-forth game where they're challenged by a team that could have been viewed as an inferior opponent tonight, coming in on short with not a lot of rest and down to, let's face it, NBL Canada all-star level guys.
3:39 left to go, and I do want to make a correction, Grandy Glaze, of course, playing in the FIBA Men's World Cup qualifiers. I've been saying the U19s. That's because I spoke to Coach Steve Konchalski from St. FX recently about his time coaching at the U19s and other
name dropper.
U levels
name
with
dropper.
Thank you. The winningest coach in U Sports men's basketball in Canada, Coach Steve Konchalski. Now has the Coach K court down there in Antigonish.
Has a court named after himself. That's that's my goal in life, is to get a court or 2 named after me before the end of my the days.
I've had a quart of rum named after me, but not a basketball court. But yeah, just and it is a big deal for Grandy Glaze. They're actually going to be playing in Halifax at Scotiabank Center on Friday night. They're going to have a combination game. There'll be an Atlantic University sport game featuring Acadia just before that FIBA men's qualifier game. And of course, Acadia are the hosts for the U Sports Basketball Championship this year. So a lot of exciting basketball things happening in and around the Atlantic region. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I talked to Terry a lot about that during our kind of preseason interview, and how exciting it is for all the Canadian basketball talent that's being assembled on all kinds of levels in this league. There's another coast-to-coast basketball league being developed for the nation there, and to play kind of off-season with the NBL. So, and 2 misses at the line for Alex Johnson.
And Mitchell seemed to tweak his back there as he went up and got that rebound. He came down kind of grasping the lower back, but he looks okay, gets right back in the play. Anderson now puts it on the floor, goes to the left hand, tries to put up the awkward-looking shot. And now we see Mitchell again behind the play, wincing and now bending over, trying to stretch out what appears to be that lower back.
And I dare say that's the offense you'll see here in the last 3 minutes and 25 seconds from the Magic. Anthony Anderson of the old Michael Jordan, get him the ball and get the heck out of the way play. Might see a little bit of that with AA. Let him kind of make all the decisions here in the half court and close the game out, as he's done countless times in this league.
Well, lo and behold, a 1-point edge lead, Magic lead with 3:25 left. A 1-point ball game. And I think if you had said that to Coach Jeff Dunlap from the St. John's Edge part of the game, that you'd be in the last 3+ minutes and be within a point, he'd have been happy. Yeah. Let's see what his team can do with it here. Skeet gets it inside. Henry Goes against Mitchell. All kinds of shake and bake there. Behind the back, Henry doing everything. Can he score? Off the glass. Rebound chance there. Henry comes down with it. Fresh shot clock. Back out for Johnson. Johnson puts it on the floor against Stewart and pushes off. And the call will go against Johnson. He doesn't like it, but clearly a push off there as he went in strong against Al Stewart.
He's got no argument. He feels that Al got him first, but I mean the referees are always going to see that second, that reaction play before they see the first one oftentimes, and he didn't get away with that chicken wing.
2:57 inside 3 minutes. Less than 180 seconds for you mathematicians out there. I had to get an abacus to figure that out, by the way.
Yeah, I saw you counting you took your shoes off and socks. I was wondering why.
And foul call there.
And they're calling an offensive foul on Jeremy Williams, and that's an example of, listen, that's the fault almost of Terry Thomas more than Jeremy Williams. Jeremy's coming over to set the screen. Terry's got to wait for him to be set or almost set before he takes off. Otherwise, that screener's going to get the feeling, oh, I got to stick out my arm to get a piece of him, and that's exactly what Jeremy Williams did.
Well, a chance here for the Edge to climb right back into the lead. Broadus puts it on the floor.
And as you see so often, get a call at one end, going to give you one on the other end. Al Stewart's so smart.
And this is where the veterans on this Moncton Magic team should and could and more than likely will make a difference for this Magic team down the stretch in games all season long.
Yeah, you got the backcourt of Al Stewart and Anthony Anderson. You like your chances in a close game.
Hinkle out on defense against Anthony Anderson. Anderson down to the deck, stays alive with it though, gets it to Williams. Williams steps back, puts the shot up, no good, and coming down with the rebound is Henry. Quick ball movement up the floor, taking it strong in, and a nice move by Jensen White as he gets the bucket.
And as they've done all night, the Edge transitioning from defense to offense and offense to defense better than the Magic.
And the Edge now into the lead once again. Terry Thomas calmly steps back. 9 seconds on the shot clock. Thomas goes to the left hand, carries it just a little bit. Rebound chance there, another putback. Everybody reaching in for that ball, and Mitchell tried so very hard to get it, and he's frustrated, and the ball goes out of play. But my goodness, 4 or 5 seconds there where no one could seem to get a clean look at that ball.
And the Edge just challenging everything. I mean, Terry Thomas has made that move hundreds of times in his life and finished, but just the length and the effort from the Edge, making it such a difficult shot. Jeremy Williams has a beautiful back cut.
1:47 left to play. Both coaches now pacing the sidelines. Coach Jeff Dunlap for the St. John's Edge to our right. He's up and down.
And a lot of times, too, close games like this are decided where at this line here that Jeremy Williams is stepping up to. And you've talked about the stats a couple times tonight, Scott, from the line. And the Magic hold a decided edge there. And this could be somewhere where they put the game away in these closing couple minutes as well.
Well, free throws always important, but they always take on a much bigger role down the stretch in close games, and you got to hit them, and that's a big one right there from the line to tie it up at 86. Coach Joe Salerno just to our left, pacing up and down the sideline. It is nail-biting time now for both of these teams.
Joe's not much of a sit down and take in the action type coach.
And Williams, 2 for 2 from the line. So Coach Jeff Dunlap and the St. John's Edge, they'll call time, 1:47 to go, and the Magic have pulled back into a 1-point lead. And this is crunch time down the stretch right now. This is where both coaches have got to look at their benches, and they've got to look into the eyes of their players, and they've got to decide and figure out who are going to be the key performers for both teams down the stretch, because it's an anyone's game at this point.
And I think both coaches know who those guys are, and I think everybody in the building knows who those guys are. I think the St. John's Edge know that they can count on Alex Johnson to get them the type of shots that they want here in the closing couple minutes. And I think the Magic know that Anthony Anderson and Al Stewart are going to get the shots that they want too. And it's all about, as it so much is, you know what's coming. Can you stop what I do well, and can we stop what you do well? And we'll see who does that better in the last minute 47.
Well, leading scorers for the Edge, Alex Johnson with 19, Rashawn Broadus with 17, and Desmond Lee with a baker's dozen 13 for the Moncton Magic. Terry Thomas continues to lead the way with 23 points on 10 of 23 from the floor. Anthony Anderson with 13. Marquise Clayton with 10 points. So 1:47 to go. Let's rack it up and see what happens. And just to break the tension a little bit for you dads out there, just got a text from my almost 12-year-old daughter telling me that, Dad, I need $62, please.
Okay, so
I've got the tension of this game, plus now I've got to figure out how to get my daughter $62.
E-transfers and calling the game.
That's right.
Multitasking in impressive ways.
The joys of handheld devices, my friends. 87-86, the home side Moncton Magic leading in this very entertaining game. The new kids on the block, the St. John's Edge, looking to go 3-1 to start their season. Henry has the ball, gives it to Broadus. Henry runs a little screen for him. Broadus spins around top of the key, gives it off to Hinkle, right back to Broadus. Broadus, strong baseline, gets it to Henry. Henry against 3 defenders. Nice job to go up off the glass, and a deuce for Henry.
Looked like he walked. He got I guess they're saying his toenail was still on the floor.
And Coach Salerno right in the referee's ear saying just that, but to no avail. And back to a 1-point lead. Mitchell for Stewart. Down on the side now for Anderson. He works back. Hinkle takes a little rub. And Anderson thought he was going to try to get it to Mitchell. Miscommunication there. And Anthony Anderson pointing to himself, I think, and saying, that's on me.
Yeah, and I think you fast forward 10 games from now, Anthony's going to make the good decision there. I think it's just a little rust of guys dealing with each other that haven't played a lot together before.
1:03. Now 60 seconds exactly left to play. 9 seconds on the shot. Broadus steps back, puts it up. No good. Rebound comes down, and a great job again by the Edge. And they're going to say that Jensen White traveled with it, and that Magic fans love that call.
Not happy was Mr. Hinkle there. He got away with a little emphatic football handoff to the ref's gut there a little bit. They weren't happy with that call. But look, the Magic got away with one there. I mean, this is another example of the Edge getting to a loose ball again. And this is how they've stayed in the game and how they've, again, taken the lead away and probably. And this is a score line that is not NBL. This is more 1980s Pacers-Knicks.
Well, typically you're used to seeing, if you're going to see 87-88, it's usually at the final buzzer of the third quarter in the NBL.
You got it. So the Edge have done a great job of taking pace away from the Magic and making it a bit of a slog. And that's the way they had to play to keep this game close, and they've done an amazingly good job at it.
Well, it has been a back-and-forth contest, and for the longest while, the Moncton Magic got out to the lead, and it was always hovering between 6 points, 7 points, double digits a few times. But as we said, the Edge were hanging around, and that seemed to play into the hands of Coach Jeff Dunlap and his team. And now, if you're the St. John's Edge, you've got the Moncton Magic right where you want them, a 1-point lead and under a minute to go.
And if you'd have told me, I mean, look, if the Edge are going to win a game shooting 28% from three-point land and 40% from the line, I mean, that's the definition of gutting out a win.
And, you know, we talked about the leading scorer for the St. John's Edge team, Carl English, being out of the lineup. 53.3 to go, but how big a boost mentally to this Edge team would it be if they could come in here and win against Moncton without a Carl English and a Grandy Glaze?
Amazing.
Here we go.
I think the Magic are going to go right back to the well. Go to Anthony Anderson and a turnover.
And Skeet with the quick hands. Great defense again. And the lockdown defense from the Edge continues. Only time for a couple of possessions left. 37.9 on the clock. 13 on the shot.
Exactly what the Magic didn't want. If you're Tim Mitchell, you got to be smarter in that area. I mean, maybe late in the first half, maybe get out and challenge that ball handler so completely. But I mean, he's got to know game situation, and down one with 38 seconds left on the clock. Get out there and hedge, but
Broadus good on the first.
Got to let your defender get back to him and get back to your man.
Broadus now 4 of 9 from the line on the game. Would love to go 5 of 10 and make it 50% here. This is a big free throw to make it a 3-point lead. Broadus doesn't get the roll, so it stays a 2-point lead, but they turn it over again. Aggressive defense. Hinkle Loses the handle for a minute, and Thomas comes out on defense and commits the foul. So now, under half a minute to go, 29.2, and right back to the line go the Edge.
And I hate to be a broken record, but story of the game, again, just a careless handling of the ball by the Magic in a situation where they didn't need to make a play. Just, the Edge are challenging everything, every move you make, everything you do. Get that ball away and get it in the hands of Anthony Anderson would be my suggestion at this point. And Hinkle, before that he was only 0 of 2 from the line, so now 1 of 3. And now this is to make it a 2-possession game. Hinkle looking to make it 91-87 if he can hit this one. And he gets the friendly little bounce and gets it to drop. So now, all of a sudden, the Moncton Magic are looking at a 4-point deficit with only 29.2 left. And look, not to make excuses, because the St. John Edge full marks for what they've done so far with 29.2 to go, but we referenced it a couple of times off the top, and even Coach Joe Salerno in our pregame chat with him before and said, look, St. John's has had, this will be their 4th game. They've had 3 games to run sets, to run offenses, to play defense, to get to know one another. Again, taking nothing away from the St. John's Edge, but I think we've seen some sequences tonight where maybe a little bit of that first game playing together rust has shown. Yeah, 100%, and we talked a little bit about the offensive end. I mean, a minute and a half ago, Anthony Anderson with that beautiful move into the paint, having a free layup, and decided to dump it off to Tim Mitchell, who wasn't ready for it. Those are the types of things that get ironed out the more you play with guys. But also at the defensive end, key parts of defense. And defense has not been the problem tonight for the Magic largely, okay? But the Edge have done a great job running their sets. They've got lots of shots that probably normally, especially in the case of guys like Hinkle, they'd put in, and they haven't. And the Magic are going to be better 2 weeks, a month, 2 months down the line at communicating with each other on the defensive end too. So here we go, 29.2 to go. Magic down by 4. Who is Coach Joe Salerno going to want to have their hands on the ball? Right now it's Terry Thomas. Thomas gets it off to Anderson, the league's leading scorer all time, goes back iron. And again, Hinkle fighting in for that rebound and just will not be denied. And again, the Edge continue to do a great job underneath the basket getting rebounds. And a beautiful play design there for Anthony Anderson. Anytime you can run a set out of a timeout like this and get Anthony Anderson a wide open 3, you take it, but just maybe not the night here for the Magic. It looks like at this point with down 4, giving up 2 free throws, 20 seconds left, and that's you expect Anthony Anderson to make that in that situation. Well, here's Hinkle, misses the first. Hinkle with 11 points on the night, much below his 3-game average of 22.3, but if his team can get the win tonight, I don't think he'll be too concerned. Now, even if this goes in, and it does, the Magic don't need a 3. They should look to get the first good shot they see. So the shot clock is off, 17.6 to go. And Henry right in the ear of Thomas. Wow, they gave Timmy an illegal screen call on that, and Jerry, I'd like to see a replay of that one if I could. Well, Jerry and Henry from the St. John's Edge got up right away and started clapping and was right in the ear of Thomas. Here comes Hinkle. 15 to go, and again, shot clock off now. And the Magic were a little dazed out of that timeout. There was about 4 extra seconds that ran off the clock just because they were a little busy slumping their shoulders instead of getting to their man, getting a foul right away. Well, this St. John's Edge team, following them through the first 3 games of the season, there's no question that they're a gritty, gutsy group. And it's a really impressive performance. And the good news for the Magic is you got a game tomorrow night. So you can erase this memory if you decide to and put your mind to it. And the Edge, they got 1 more game in this road trip, and they're going to be going in there on a big high. So Hinkle goes 2 for 2 on that trip. And this, a very big mountain to climb here, and I don't think the Magic can do it. Anything can happen as Thomas gets the bucket. 6.8 left on the clock. That is how many seconds separate the St. John's Edge from having a 3-1 record through the first 4 games, all on the road. The ref stops the play and resets it. It's inside of 2 minutes here. They got to stop the clock on every make, so couple of extra seconds added on to tantalize the fans a little bit. But, I mean, look, if the Edge make one more free throw, this game's done. And the Magic fans are going to go home a little disappointed. And I think that's going to be 2 more home games, though, on the weekend for the Magic to kind of make it up to the fans here, the new people in the building.
Well, St. John's Edge, they call timeout, does Coach Jeff Dunlap and his squad. The St. John's team, they opened up the season over in Charlottetown with a 97-96 win over the Island Storm. They followed that up the next night. They were blow for blow with the very talented Halifax Hurricanes. They ended up coming up on the short end of a 124-121 game there, but then they bounced right back a couple of days later, making the trip down to Cape Breton Island in a very solid performance last night in Cape Breton, defeating the Highlanders 106-98 and only 8.8 seconds away from running that record to 3-1.
And as a Newfoundlander yourself, I'm sure you'll agree that this is the type of squad that the Island can fall in love with. A gritty squad with lots of intangibles that go towards building a solid team, not just a bunch of individuals. They got individual talent, but they've shown tonight that they got the intangibles, the guts, the effort on the nights where the shots aren't falling to more than make up for that. And that's the kind of squad that the Rock can get behind, I think.
Well, the city of St. John's, the Avalon Peninsula, and the island of Newfoundland and the province of Newfoundland and Labrador are going to love this team. And fans, embrace this St. John's Edge team. Yes, we are the broadcaster for the Moncton Magic, but this entire league is about all coming together to push the league forward and to grow basketball in Canada. Their hashtag is all one. And it's good to see healthy teams all around this league. And this St. John's Edge team, they're loose, they're talented, and they have a lot of fun. 5 seconds away, Allman from well outside. Nope, bounces off the iron, comes down into the hands of Jensen White. And fitting that the game should end on a missed 3 from Moncton and a rebound by the St. John's Edge. Full marks, and congratulations to the St. John's Edge as they run their record now to 3-1 on the year with a very solid and well-played 96-89 victory over the home side Moncton Magic.
And let's go to that stats picture. I can't believe my eyes. The numbers, the shooting numbers here from the three-point land and from the line, from the edge. There is very few games that are going to end this way in any league where a team shoots those types of numbers from those spots, which are especially key in this league. And to come out on top, it's unbelievable.
Well, look, we talked about the fact that this was the first game of the season for Moncton. And not to take anything away from St. John's because they've played now 4 games. But let's talk about St. John's. Coming into this game, Grandy Glaze, their big man in the middle, averaging 18.5 points a game and 18.5 rebounds a game. When you're averaging 18.5 points and 18.5 rebounds and you don't have that guy, and then the Newfoundland and Labrador native, Carl English, the leading scorer, averaging 24 a game, he's not in the lineup tonight. This St. John's Edge team really, to a man, and it probably wouldn't have been surprising if to themselves they would never admit it, but they probably were thinking, you know what, we probably won't get this one tonight. But my goodness, 96-89, and again, full marks to the St. John's Edge. A very good performance across the board, very dominant in the paint, great rebounding, tenacious defense. And when Moncton seemed to go on these little runs and build the lead, the Edge never panicked, and they just kind of stayed to their game plan. And again, congratulations to them. But the other question I have is, though, knowing this Moncton Magic team, knowing the coach, knowing the personnel, my question is, do they only score 89 points the rest of the way? Will there be a game the rest of this year where they only get 89?
Well, I'll be very surprised if that's the case, but you can't look at the effort here from the Edge and think that they can't do that, repeat that performance. This isn't a performance based on some superhuman effort. This was based on basic basketball, winning 50-50 balls, just a mindset, and this mindset is something that you can keep. If you got, three-point shots are going to fall and not fall some nights, but effort is there every night if you want to give it, and that's something that they've got. These games have been right around 100 points, all of their games. They have a style that they're establishing, and we're going to be the team that is unpleasant to play against, and they were certainly unpleasant to play against tonight.
Well, no Grandy Glaze resting Carl English, but the St. John's Edge come into Moncton and they come out with a very big 96-89 victory over the Moncton Magic. Of course, just the first game of the year for the Moncton Magic. They'll only get better as it goes along, and we are going to be very happy to be able to bring all of the games to you from the Moncton Coliseum here on our NBL Canada broadcast. So the St. John's Edge run their record to 3-1, and the Moncton Magic open up the season. They now go to 0-1, but they're right back at it tomorrow. So on behalf of my broadcast partner, David Tingley, I am Scott Squires. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back with you on Saturday. We will have the Island Storm in here, 7 o'clock Atlantic time, and then right back with you Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. Atlantic, when they take on the Cape Breton Highlanders. Until then, my friends, thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening. Once again, your final, the St. John's Edge defeat the Moncton Magic on the road, 96-89. The boys from the Rock were like a rock here this evening. Regroup time for the Magic. We will see you on Saturday. Until then, good night from the Moncton Coliseum.